101. Undercover. While the Clear Sky sect was still debating tactics, none of them suspected that Qian Xunan had already slipped in among their ranks. He did not strike immediately. The Clear Sky sect had slaughtered so many of his Spirit Hall members. This time, Qian Xunan intended to wipe them out root and branch. Afterward, Tang departed toward the Heaven Do Empire. Qian Xunan trailed the Clear Sky sect's procession as they returned home. The sect lay 300 li east of Heaven Do City. From a distance, it looked like a small village, not unlike the Saint Spirit village he had left long ago. Smoke curled from cooking fires. It was nearly noon. Children played at the village entrance, and farmers were packing up their tools, heading back for a meal. The Clear Sky sect arrived in a grand procession. Villagers lined the road and bowed as the elders passed. The sect members acknowledged them with slight nods and turned toward the back mountain. The back mountain was a sheer peak, no plants, nearly vertical, a stone wall rising more than 500 meters. Every 10 meters or so, there was a shallow depression for leverage, just enough for climbers to find purchase. One by one, the sect members leapt and clambered up the face. This range was peculiar. Sharp, isolated peaks separated by deep ravines. To traverse it by climbing up and down every summit would exhaust any army. Placing defenses on each peak meant any attacker had to force their way through a line of natural choke points. Even overwhelming numbers might not be enough. The terrain was an ideal natural fortress. At the top of one ridge, the air grew thin and the clouds thickened. The elder at the front leapt and vanished into the mist. Qian Xunan, disguised as a disciple, followed him. At the edge of the peak, an iron chain, as thick as an arm, stretched across the ravine and disappeared into the fog. The chain swayed in the air, barely visible in the mist, clearly the link to another peak. If one had the strength to steady their body, they could cross it. A level 30 spirit master could do it easily. Qian Xunan appreciated the design immediately. If a pass could not be held, defenders could retreat to the next peak and then sever the chain, buying time and leaving another line of defense. The span between the peaks was nearly 1,000 meters. As they moved into the center, the chain's sway increased under the influence of the surrounding mountains, swinging from side to side with an amplitude of almost 10 meters. The ravines below grew deeper with every crossing. By the time they reached the stretch between the 4th and 5th peaks, cold and humidity had left a sheet of ice on the iron chain, making it slippery and much harder to grip. The lead elder let out a long cry and timed his leaping precisely, his toes tapping the chain as he moved forward in controlled bounds of about 10 meters each. After 50 meters, he found solid footing, and the second elder followed his example. Harnesses on their bodies slid along the chain, protecting them without hindering their progress. The 4th peak towered above 2,000 meters. A fall from here would be fatal to anyone short of flight. Even a titled Douluo would struggle to survive. They crossed the final miles shrouded in clouds and mist, then emerged onto a vast stone plaza. An enormous stone complex rose before them like a fortress. Its main gate was 5 meters high, and above it 3 large characters were carved in stone: Clear Sky Sect. Though not as grand as the Supreme Pontiff Palace, the all-stone buildings were impressively solid, integrated into the steep rock as if grown from the mountain itself. Towers and halls reached into the clouds, exuding an ancient, solemn majesty. The architectural style was classically Chinese: red walls, dark tiles, carved beams, and painted rafters. Pavilions and terraces were arranged with care. Bamboo groves, waterfalls, and winding streams encircled the back of the sect. Flowers and trees flourished on the surrounding slopes. Hidden in such a place, the sect would be nearly impossible to discover and incredibly difficult to besiege. Qian Xunan took it all in with a faint smile. He had not expected the Clear Sky sect to be concealed in such a vast mountain stronghold. "This Clear Sky sect," he murmured under his breath. "What a pity. From now on, all of this will be nothing but a fleeting dream." On the plaza, the great elder spoke up, his voice carrying. "Close the sect gates and post strict guards. If there is any disturbance, report it at once." The disciples replied in unison, "Yes!" A cold voice suddenly cut through the air from the crowd. "No need for so much trouble. Your Clear Sky sect is about to be destroyed." Every spirit master present froze and turned toward the speaker. A gray-clad disciple stepped forward, walking slowly. His expression was indifferent, as calm and unfathomable as an ancient, still well. End of chapter. A bloodbath had just been unleashed at the Haotian sect. Everyone in the Clear Sky sect turned to look at the gray-robed disciple who had stepped forward from the crowd. He walked out slowly, his gaze indifferent and impossibly deep, like the starry sky itself. The seventh elder pointed at him and demanded harshly, "Who are you?" The gray robe shifted and his figure changed. The man before them gradually revealed himself as a white-robed cultivator, handsome and noble, but a naked killing intent glowed between his brows. The 7 elders of the Clear Sky sect went rigid. They all recognized him, Qian Xunan, the one who had slain the Rakshasa god. One elder stared at him in disbelief. Qian Xunan, how can it be you?" Qian Xunan's expression was calm. "Why can't it be me?" The elder's face paled. "Weren't you fighting the Rakshasa god?" Qian inclined his head slightly. "I fought the Rakshasa god, so what does that have to do with me standing here?" Another elder jabbed a finger at him. "You fought a god. Weren't you gravely wounded? How dare you come to the Clear Sky sect like this?" Qian Xunan's eyes were ice. "Is your Clear Sky sect stronger than a god? If I could slay a god, why shouldn't I come?" The elder's whole body trembled. Qian was right. If he could kill a god, what were they compared to him? Qian's gaze swept over the 7 elders. "Your Clear Sky sect hides in some secluded place like a frightened mouse," he said coldly. "But now that word spread that I fought a god, you all crawl out to put on a show. Did you ever think about the storm you'd bring upon yourselves when you dared slaughter the spirit masters and common people of my spirit hall?" The elders stepped back, exchanging stunned looks. The 7th elder recovered his composure and said, "Qian Xunan, there's no doubt you're powerful. We didn't expect you'd defeat a god. But I can't believe you could walk unscathed from such a battle." The 6th elder nodded, stepping forward. "He's at the end of his strength. He fought the Rakshasa god. Do you really think he can stand here unharmed?" "Exactly. Qian Xunan was formidable before, but after that fight, I refuse to believe he's whole," another elder shouted. "Do you think our Clear Sky sect is something you can bully?" One by one, the elders advanced, glaring. Qian's face stayed impassive. "You're quick to rage," he said. "You make it sound like I came to offend the Clear Sky sect. In truth, your Clear Sky sect offended me." An elder snapped, "You killed our old ancestor Tang Chen, and Tang Hao besides. How is that not an offense?" A faint smile curved Qian's lips. "Your sect twists the facts," he replied. "If they hadn't provoked me first, would I have had to kill them?" He turned his eyes over the gathered crowd. "Enough of the past. Your Clear Sky sect massacred the people and spirit masters of my spirit hall. Today, I will make your entire sect perish with them." At hearing that, faces went white. The 3rd elder exploded. "Bold words. You expect to make our whole sect perish by yourself? Do you think we're a paper tiger?" The 2nd elder barked. "You fought a god. Do you expect to manipulate us while you're injured?" The Grand Elder's robe billowed as he shouted his anger. The disciples of the Clear Sky sect drew their Clear Sky hammers and surged with aura. One after another, spirit abilities flared and spirit rings flashed as they surrounded Qian Xunan. The 7 elders released their might as well, the air filled with terrible power. Qian Xunan's mouth lifted in a cold smile. "So be it. Then all of you, please go to hell." He took a step forward, and an oppressive aura rolled out from him, the space around him suddenly heavy. Endless killing intent shone from his eyes. 6 angelic wings unfurled from his back, dazzling and divine, making him seem like a towering god. He raised a hand and an angel sword appeared in his grip. "Charge!" an elder roared. A Clear Sky elder swung his hammer and led the assault. Spirit techniques and destructive forces crashed toward Qian, overwhelming in their variety and ferocity. He watched them with contempt. "You really don't know when to stop," he murmured. Before the words finished, Qian Xunan had already slashed the angel sword. Brilliant blades of light exploded outward like falling meteors, racing into the ranks of the Clear Sky sect at impossible speed. Wherever the sword light passed, everything it touched shattered. There was no time for cries, only the sudden end. In the span of a breath, several of the Clear Sky sect's top combatants were cut down. 2 or 3 strokes later, 7 or 8 spirit saint-level masters lay dead. The survivors stared in horror at the devastation. Qian retracted his sword and walked forward until he stood about 10 meters from the remaining sect members. He scanned them coldly. "Do you really dare oppose me with nothing but yourselves? Today, I will bathe the Clear Sky sect in blood. Haoqian Divine Hammer! Haoqian Divine Hammer!" 1,000 war cries split the air as countless Clear Sky sect disciples poured out. Tens of thousands stood before Qian Xunan, brimming with overconfidence. None of them had seen his true strength. They surged forward, Clear Sky hammers raised, spirit abilities flaring. The plaza was drowned in a riot of color and light. Qian Xunan did not move until the last moment. Then, with one deliberate lift, he raised the angel sword. Boom! A roar of invisible sword energy tore through the crowd. Where it passed, the disciples and their hammers dissolved into nothing but motes of light. How? How could this be? An elder from the Clear Sky sect whispered, eyes wide. Before he could react, Qian Xunan was already in front of him. "No!" the elder cried, throwing his hammer up to defend, but it was pitifully weak. Qian Xunan flicked his wrist, shattered. He closed his fist and struck the elder in the chest. The man flew backward, then a burst of golden light erupted from Qian Xunan as he streaked after him. A single follow-up punch drove through the elder's heart. He stared, blood flooding his mouth, disbelief frozen on his face. They had all heard the rumors. Qian Xunan, the supreme pontiff of Spirit Hall, the one who had slain the Rakshasa god, but no one had expected this. The 5th elder of the Clear Sky sect lay dead at his feet, and the remaining 6 elders were terrified. Even together, they felt feeble before him. His power dwarfed theirs. Qian Xunan stepped into the center of the assembled disciples. A few hot-headed youths bellowed and charged, wielding their hammers and releasing powerful spirit techniques. Hundreds more followed in an instant, converging into a single, crushing force. Qian Xunan's expression never changed. He lifted his right hand, and a storm of light burst forth, coalescing into a blade of pure radiance. It sliced through the void and descended on the mass of attackers. Wherever the light passed, bodies unraveled into nothing. Screams filled the plaza. Men and women were vaporized, others were cleaved apart, their limbs and blood spattering the stone. Where tens of thousands had stood, corpses and crimson runoff scattered the ground. The disciples gaped, disbelief turning into panic. They fled in every direction, but in the face of his speed and fury, escape was a fantasy. Qian Xunan moved through severed limbs and scattered remains as if walking a field of flowers, unhurried. When some tried to run, their legs seemed rooted. A handful of core disciples managed to break away, but most fell under his blade. With a single horizontal sweep of the angel sword, heads flew and blood spattered in a wide arc. Nearly 100 died in an instant. Bloodshot and desperate, the 6 remaining elders surged forward, knowing that if Qian Xunan was not stopped now, the sect would be wiped out. Their clear sky hammers materialized, and they roared in unison, martial soul fusion skill. Light exploded from their bodies. The 6 bodies trembled and fused into one, their combined aura magnified tenfold. A colossal clear sky hammer condensed above the unified form, radiating blinding brilliance as if a god had descended. Sumeru, Clear Sky Divine Hammer, they intoned together, and then brought the hammer down with the force of apocalypse. The single blow warped the air and seemed to threaten heaven and earth. Qian Xunan watched without moving, unmoved by their ritual. The hammer struck. Boom! The shockwave shook the entire Clear Sky sect. Buildings collapsed, stones split, and dust billowed skyward. As debris filled the air and vision blurred, the plaza was swallowed in chaos. As the dust gradually settled, 104, blood flowed like a river. Qian Xunan didn't dodge. The giant clear sky hammer plunged straight into his body. Boom, a violent eruption of dust filled the air. The disciples of the Clear Sky sect widened their eyes and held their breath, straining to see the result. Is it over? We used a martial soul fusion skill. There's no way Qian Xunan could still be alive, right? He took our strongest blow. Even if he's not dead, he must be badly hurt. The 6 great elders stared into the rising cloud of dust. At last it thinned and a tall, imposing figure emerged. He wore a white robe that flowed perfectly clean around him, standing like an immortal cast down from heaven. The strongest strike the six-titled Douluo had just unleashed hadn't even left a scratch. He stood with his hands clasped behind his back, lips moving as if speaking to himself. Ants. No. Impossible. This can't be. The Clear Sky sect's great elder went pale, his voice trembling. How could Qian Xunan be so strong? Everyone who looked at him felt a chill. Qian Xunan's gaze swept over the crowd and settled coldly on the great elder. "Are you tickling me?" he asked. A wave of terror ran through the elders at those words. They could not fathom how Qian Xunan had withstood such a devastating attack without harm. "This is impossible," the third elder whispered, disbelief written across his face. "He's only a Limit Douluo. Our martial soul fusion skill would cripple even Qian Douluo. How could it not affect him?" The other elders wore the same stunned expression. This was beyond comprehension. Was he even human? "Next, it's my turn, isn't it?" Qian Xunan said calmly. The six-titled Douluo exchanged looks. Their martial soul fusion skills still held. Immediately they seized the giant hammer and drove it down on Qian Xunan again and again. A faint golden shield shimmered over his body. The Clear Sky hammer slammed against it. Bang, bang, bang. Each strike resounded, the hammer meeting his golden shield time after time, yet Qian Xunan did not flinch. The blows did him no harm. The Clear Sky sect disciples stood frozen, their minds numbed. Qian Xunan had taken a martial soul fusion skill head-on and suffered no injury? Unthinkable. "I said, it's my turn." The voice was calm, but it crawled under the elder's skin. Then an atrocious sight unfolded. Qian Xunan lifted his right arm and a vast aura surged up like a rising storm. He raised his hand a fraction more and terrifying spirit power condensed into a colossal palm 100 meters wide. That mountainous hand descended like an avalanche. "Get out of the way!" The six great elders panicked and drove the Clear Sky hammer to intercept. Boom! An earth-shaking explosion roared. In an instant, buildings across the Clear Sky sect collapsed. The strike was cataclysmic. There was a huge pit carved out where the hammer had landed. When the smoke cleared, the six elders lay blasted backward, blood spouting from their mouths, eyes vacantly staring, faces drained of color. One move had severely wounded them all. Qian Xunan, however, stood unmoving. The disciples of the Clear Sky sect swallowed hard, horror carved into their faces. Was that Qian Xunan's true power? How could anyone be that terrifying? 6 9-ring titled Douluo had combined their strength and still couldn't withstand a single blow. The six elders' will to fight evaporated. Dread replaced resolve. In their eyes, the gap between them and Qian Xunan was immeasurable. In front of him, they felt like ants. Qian Xunan looked over them and said, "Next, I shall bestow destruction upon you." He took a step forward. Terrifying spirit power burst from him, shaking the very void. With every step he took, the air seemed to fracture. The ground buckled beneath him as if reality itself could not support him. Each footfall sent the earth crumbling, and the Clear Sky sect disciples' hearts pounded. "Run! Hurry! Run!" Panic rippled through the crowd. The disciples scattered in terror. The six great elders, grievously shaken, had lost any will to resist. "Flee! Everyone! Flee as many as you can! Escape or the Clear Sky sect dies today!" they shouted. "Flee? Today the Clear Sky sect dies!" Qian Shunan's icy gaze swept over the terrified, fleeing masses. Then his pace quickened. Whoosh! Spirit power erupted from his body in an endless roar. Explosions cracked through the courtyard, and then a gruesome tide followed, blood everywhere. Life essence tore from the bodies of those Clear Sky sect disciples in an instant. Flesh split, corpses gushed, and red life poured out. Pfft! Screams rent the air as disciples fell, their cries tragic and immediate. "No, I don't want to die." Ah! They were dismembered one by one. Limbs and bodies were torn apart. The sect was drowned in carnage. The Clear Sky sect became a mountain of corpses and a river of blood. 105. Destroy the Haotian sect. Qian Xunan stepped out slowly, each stride measured and calm. The spirit power around him sharpened into invisible blades that carved through the Clear Sky sect's ranks. With every step he took, thousands of disciples fell. Crimson flowed across the plaza, the air filled with the metallic stench of blood. This is too brutal. The sect elders watched in stunned horror. They had never imagined such a scene. Qian Xunan moved like a demon, and the plaza had become a realm of slaughter. By the time the six elders recovered from their shock, Qian Xunan already stood before them. "Run!" the elders roared, but the oppressive spirit pressure settled over them like lead. Their limbs would not obey. Kneel! Qian Xunan's eyes were blades as he spoke each word with icy clarity. With no choice, the 6 elders dropped to their knees. It wasn't submission from conviction, but submission forced by crushing power. Supreme Pontiff, spare our lives, we surrender. We are all titled Douluo. We pledge to serve Spirit Hall for all eternity. Please, spare us. Their arrogance had evaporated. Terrified, they looked at Qian Xunan and begged like beggars, their faces drained of color. His strength, unimaginable and absolute, had reduced them to pleading. Qian Xunan's expression turned colder. "What can you do for me?" he asked slowly. The elders paled. "We may not match you, but we are titled Douluo. We can help Spirit Hall become the most powerful organization on the continent," the first elder said, desperation masking his voice. Qian Xunan laughed then, a harsh, derisive sound. "I thought the Clear Sky sect still had a spine. How cowardly you are." He mocked them openly. "Serve me? Do you even qualify? After the blood you've shed, do you expect me to believe your pledges? I would sooner have you die with dignity than grovel for my mercy." Their faces crumpled. Anger, regret, humiliation, every emotion surged. It dawned on them. He wasn't trying to subdue them. He meant to annihilate them. The 6 great elders exchanged a final glance. There was nothing left but to fight to the death. Only by risking everything could they hope for a sliver of survival. "Ah! Die!" they roared and summoned their Clear Sky hammer spirits. Colossal hammers flared into being, radiating terrible light. Summoning Clear Sky Divine Hammer. Together they launched their martial soul fusion technique, their strongest move, wielded as if with their lives on the line. The 6 hammers combined into a single mountain-sized weapon, its momentum ripping at the fabric of space. The air shuddered with spatial ripples. Qian Xunan remained unnervingly still. For a moment, the 6 elders' faces lightened. They thought perhaps their combined strike might unbalance him. The colossal hammer, 10,000 tons in weight, fell with world-crushing force toward Qian Xunan. He looked up at the descending behemoth, emotionless. Then he extended his right arm. Endless spirit energy condensed into his palm. Spreading his fingers like pillars holding up heaven, he met the hammer's fall with a palm strike. Boom! Heaven and earth convulsed. Energy tore through the plaza. Trees disintegrated to dust. The ground split, and a shockwave rolled outward. The Clear Sky Divine Hammer began to fracture, then collapse into a storm of glittering dust. In an instant, the mountain-sized weapon was broken by Qian Xunan's bare hand. Pfft! All 6 elders spat blood and went deathly pale. They trembled, soldiers of the sect utterly crushed. Their fused technique hadn't even torn his clothes. They hadn't even forced him to draw his sword. "Don't kill us! Don't kill us!" they cried, dread strangling their voices. Only now did they feel how utterly insignificant they were, mere insects under his gaze. "Do you think I'll let you go?" Qian Xunan asked coldly. A cold steel longsword gleamed into being in his hand. The elder's pupils constricted, panic flooded them. He swung. A blade of spirit chi cut the void and slashed through the 6 elders. 6 slashes, 6 wet sounds. In an instant, all 6 elders fell. Their heads flew free, their eyes stared wide and unseeing. The 6 great elders lay slain. The remaining disciples watched in horror. If the 6 titled Douluo could be cut down with a single stroke, what hope had they? Panic seized them. They turned and fled as one. Trying to escape, Qian Xunan's mouth tilted into a mocking curve. He slammed his right foot into the ground. A terrifying force burst from his soul. The earth fractured with explosive bangs. A vast pit opened at his feet. An invisible shockwave rippled outward from him. Those struck by the shockwave screamed as their bodies detonated into sprays of blood and mist. In a single motion, nearly half of the Clear Sky sect's disciples were annihilated. The plaza became a painting of carnage, their cries swallowed by the roaring of Qian Xunan's power. End of chapter. Qian Xunan stood looking at the ruined remains of the Clear Sky sect. The mountaintop was a graveyard. Nearly all the sect's disciples were dead or grievously wounded. Not a single one of the 7 elders survived. The sect had been ground down to rubble. Qian Xunan had treated the Clear Sky sect as if it were already a spent force, swift, effortless, inexorable. This was the power of a peerless master. His body rose slowly into the air. He hovered above the peak. eyes sweeping for any survivors. If there were any, he would find them. Calmly, he extended a hand. Spirit energy condensed instantly into a monstrous palm. In an instant, it swelled to cover the whole mountaintop. With a single crushing motion, the giant palm clenched down. The ruins trembled, timbers collapsed, towers pancaked, and within moments, the entire sect was flattened into dust and broken stone. A roar of debris filled the sky. Qian Xunan nodded with grim satisfaction and took a stride that spanned dozens of miles. In the blink of an eye, he was gone. Heaven Do Empire. The old Emperor Shuiye had been succeeded by his son Shui Beng. Prince Shui Xing served as regent. At the imperial court, Tang Xiao appeared before the young ruler. When Shui Beng saw him, he hastily stepped forward. I never expected the Clear Sky sect master to visit Heaven Do. Forgive my tardiness in receiving you. Ning Fengzi, standing nearby, bowed as well. We are honored by your presence, Sect Master Tang. Tang Xiao inclined his head in return. Your Majesty, Schoolmaster Ning, thank you. I have come to discuss a matter of utmost importance. Shui Beng gestured him into the inner cabinet. Once they were seated, Shui Beng cut to the chase. Sect Master Tang, is this about the Spirit Hall? Tang Xiao gave a slight nod and recounted how his sect had come into conflict with the Spirit Hall, how his men had attacked them, and how the reprisals had escalated. The faces of Shui Beng, Prince Shui Xing, and Ning Fengji all registered surprise. None of them had expected the Clear Sky sect to take such direct action. I have no love for the Spirit Hall, Tang Xiao said. They have become the most arrogant power on this continent. They are no longer content to be a single sect. Their ambition is to dominate the whole land. If they are allowed to keep growing, it won't be long before they try to unify the continent under their rule. Then, the Clear Sky sect, the 7 treasure glazed tile school, and even the Heaven Do Empire itself will be in danger. Shui Beng's face darkened. Sect Master Tang is right. The Spirit Hall's influence has grown too great. If we do nothing, they will swallow everything. Ning Fengji's expression hardened. The Spirit Hall is a menace. We cannot allow their designs to succeed. Shui Beng's voice dropped, bitter and steady. The Spirit Hall killed my father. Whatever the cost, I will stop them. Tang Xiao met both their gazes. That is why I am here. I came to propose an alliance. An alliance? Shui Beng blinked, then leaned forward. Continue. Tang Xiao laid out his plan. I will lead the Clear Sky sect to join the Heaven Do faction. Once we join, I can bring the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Clan with us. If the Clear Sky sect, the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Clan, and the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School stand with the Heaven Do Empire, we'll have the strength to oppose the Spirit Hall. Shui Beng's eyes shone. Is this certain? Tang Xiao did not hesitate. Yes. My hatred for the Spirit Hall is personal. My father's death was tied to them. My grandfather was slain by Qian Xunan, my brother Hao was killed by Qian Xunan, and my sister-in-law was murdered by the Spirit Hall. I will see the Spirit Hall destroyed, no matter the price. Hearing Tang Xiao's vow, both Ning Fengji and Shui Beng understood he had made up his mind. Ning Fengji nodded slowly. Sect Master Tang, you are right, but there's a missing piece. Qian Xunan is not an ordinary enemy. He was able to kill a god. We do not have anyone capable of facing him. Tang Xiao's face tightened, but then he spoke. I have considered that. There is one person who might become the answer. Ning Fengji looked up sharply. Who do you mean? My nephew, Tang San, Tang Xiao said. When he left, he told me he met our ancestor in Slaughter City, great-grandfather, who is also my grandfather. Among the tokens he received was a record that on Sea God Island there is the Sea God's inheritance, and that the High Priest of Sea God Island was once my great-grandfather's confidant. Because of Qian Xunan, they could not complete their meeting. I have heard that the Sea God Island High Priest is a level 99 Limit Douluo, no weaker than Qian Douluo. Ning Fengji considered this and suggested, then we could try to summon the High Priest of Sea God Island. Tang Xiao shook his head. We have all seen Qian Xunan's power. Even Qian Douluo, even Bosexi, the Sea God High Priest, might not be enough to match him. There is only one thing we can do now. Shui Beng and Ning Fengji both asked at once, wait for what? Tang Xiao's gaze grew distant and fierce. Wait for a god. Wait for my nephew Tang San to become a god. Chapter 107, An Uncrowned God. Wait for Tang San to become a god? At the sound of that, Everyone's faces went pale with shock. Tang Xiao nodded. Even if our army can crush Spirit Hall, we still can't deal with Qian Xunan. Until we have equivalent combat power, we absolutely must not go to war with Spirit Hall. Ning Fengji agreed. Sectmaster Tang is right. If we don't have strength on par with Spirit Hall, no matter how many titled Douluo we send, they probably won't match Qian Xunan. A powerhouse like him is likely beyond our current ability. Shui Bang nodded, but a doubt sprang to his mind. What if Qian Xunan attacks us first? He won't, Tang Xiao answered immediately. Qian Xunan just fought the Rakshasa god and was severely injured. He can't recover that fast. Even if he can recover, the titled Douluo of Spirit Hall won't be so quick to recover either. Those elders certainly won't be back to full strength in less than 5 years. And Spirit Hall is still only a sect. If they want to go to war with the Heaven Do Empire, they'll have to recruit soldiers and organize an empire. Unifying the dukedoms isn't something done with a snap of the fingers. Troop integration and training will take years. So we have at least 5 years to prepare. If Tang San can pass the Sea God's assessment and inherit the Sea God position inside those 5 years, we still have a chance. His analysis was calm and logical. Ning Fengji and Shui Bang both nodded. Ning Fengji looked at Tang Xiao. 5 years to pass a god's assessment and become a god. Do you really think that's possible? Tang Xiao smiled faintly. For others I'd worry, but that's my nephew, Tang San. I know how outstanding he is. Ning Fengji recalled Tang San's feats and nodded. You're right, Tang San might pull off a miracle. Shui Bang added, it seems everything rests on the teacher. Ning Fengji's expression shifted. Actually, we might have another chance. Think about it. Qian Xunan killed the Rakshasa god. When the god realm learns of that, will they really sit quiet? Tang Xiao and Shui Bang turned to him attentively. Ning Fengji continued, the Rakshasa god's status in the god realm can't be low. A deity falling in the lower world would be an insult no god could ignore. You're right, Tang Xiao agreed. Gods generally don't meddle in the continent's affairs, but this situation is extreme. They will intervene. Before the three could say more, a secret agent hurried in. Your Majesty, an urgent report. Let him in, Shui Bang ordered. The agent entered and handed over a sealed dispatch. Shui Bang opened it slowly. A few large characters stared up at him. Qian Xunan alone annihilated the Clear Sky sect. None survived. Shui Bang's face went ashen. He looked up at Tang Xiao. Sectmaster Tang, I have terrible news. Tang Xiao's voice broke. What is it? There are no survivors from the Clear Sky sect. Qian Xunan destroyed it. Everyone is gone. Tang Xiao staggered back, trembling. How could this be? How is that possible? Didn't Qian Xunan just battle the Rakshasa god? How could he have recovered so quickly? He was bewildered, utterly bereft, as if the world had been torn from under him. Ning Fengji stepped forward, condolences in his voice. Tang Xiao clenched his fists until his nails drew blood. So the Clear Sky sect, only Tang San and I remain? Qian Xunan, he roared, eyes burning with hatred. Even if I become a devil and damned for all eternity, I will make you pay. God realm. In a vast hall far above the lower world, a figure lay reclining, utterly at ease. He wore a heavy purple cloak that shadowed most of him. Only 2 faint red lights flickered within the hood. The cloak seemed to contain an endless, inscrutable aura, power that made the air tremble, and from its seams, smoke-black flames licked outward. When the figure opened his eyes, the world's color shifted in an instant. Bright sunlight was swallowed by a dark that spread like spilled ink, and the air was suffused with an unending sense of slaughter. Blackness rolled outward in great waves. A few attendants knelt before him. Lord Destruction, you must uphold justice for us. These were the lowest servants of the god realm, huntless, weak compared to even a Limit Douluo of the lower world. Uphold justice? They pleaded. Lord Rakshasa went to the lower world and was slain by a mere mortal. You must avenge Lord Rakshasa. Destruction rose slowly, a cold smile on his face. A first-ranked deity couldn't even defeat a mere mortal. You still dare to plead for her? A pressure swept from him like a living thing. Before Destruction's power, the 2 servants disintegrated to dust and vanished without a trace, not even a sole remnant left behind. This was the effortless hand of a high-level god. He did not need to act personally. A little of his presence was enough to erase low-level gods. What pitiful fools coming to me to wail. Destruction's eyes flashed with derision. Rakshasa, you disappoint me. He gave a small, almost casual motion. But the Rakshasa god position cannot remain vacant forever. It seems a new Rakshasa must be chosen. At that, an image materialized, Qian Xunan's face before Destruction's eyes. Destruction's smile widened. An uncrowned god? Heh, interesting. Things are getting far more interesting. End of chapter. 108. Cultivation. Qian Xunan returned to the spirit hall and began to cultivate at once. He sat cross-legged, closed his eyes, and sank into meditation. To his surprise, the terrifying spirit power inside him started to transmute into another form of energy crystal. A fierce current of spirit power surged through him as his dantian began to draw in the ambient spirit energy and refine it into a purer, more potent force that spread through every limb. Golden light gradually radiated from his body, and a comfortable warmth filled him as his dantian continued to absorb. This was the advancement of a spirit master. At a certain level, the energy within could be transformed into a different crystalline essence, almost like turning ordinary matter into pure elemental power. A sudden flare erupted in his palm with a soft boom, and a sphere of white light appeared, sending a violent fluctuation outward. The power inside him now felt different from his previous spirit energy. A thought crossed Qian Xunan's mind. Had he become a god? He quickly dismissed it. Becoming a god required coronation by a deity, a title conferred, not seized. He had not been crowned, he had only gained divine force. In other words, he possessed godlike power but was not truly a god, and would not be accepted by the god realm. Still, that strength should be enough for most foes. He might even handle ordinary gods, though to face ones mightier than the Rakshasa god, he would need to push his cultivation further. At the same time, Qian Xunan's last golden spirit ring continued to draw in spirit power. He kept a secret. All his spirit rings were, in effect, red 100,000-year rings, not because he had slain that many spirit beasts, but because of an immortal herb he had once found. After consuming it, his spirit rings gained the property of infinite upgrading. Their apparent age adjusted with his cultivation, and they could store spirit power. He released every spirit ring. His body and the rings drank in the surrounding energy. Streams of spirit power drilled into him. His whole body trembled as delicate golden patterns emerged on his skin, like living dragons swimming across his flesh. A majestic aura rose. The rings hummed and solidified, casting brilliant light. His mind merged with the spirit power. He felt the infinite energy contained in it, as if the entire world existed to fuel him. Consciousness expanded. He sensed the universe's rhythm and the flow of spirit energy. He gathered his own power into the dantian, which burned like a small sun. That heat and light flowed through his meridians and organs, nourishing every muscle. His body grew stronger. Muscles swelled, skin gleamed tougher, and each breath carried an invisible energy ripple. In this state, he mastered new uses of spirit power. He could condense it into tangible forms, sharp spirit abilities. Golden blade chi ignited between his palms, slashing and striking at targets in the void. Time blurred and lost meaning. He was absorbed in cultivation, each influx of spirit power pushing him ever closer to a new peak. At last, when the ambient spirit power had been fully absorbed, his body burst with dazzling light. His spirit rings blazed a fiery red, each reaching its pinnacle. He opened his eyes, his pupils shimmered gold. "It seems my power can still rise," he murmured. "I killed the Rakshasa god. The god realm will not be pleased. Next time I may face foes far stronger than that. I cannot afford to slack off." And so he threw himself into cultivation with renewed fervor. The spirit hall was also preparing for a major move. It had begun courting nearby duchies to forge a powerful state, the Spirit Empire. Qian Xunan split his time between building the empire and advancing his cultivation. Under his leadership, the spirit hall grew stronger, and his own strength climbed steadily. Qian Renshui set aside everything and followed Qian Douluo to cultivate. She was undergoing her angelic trials, continuously tested during these days. Years slipped by. 4 years later, from the direction of Sea God Island, a sudden beam of light shot into the sky, and an overwhelming aura rolled across the continent. Over Sea God Island, dark clouds gathered, dimming the light, but the Sea God Hall flared to life, the temple pouring forth a fierce golden radiance. The light pierced the gloom, illuminating Sea God Mountain and the island itself. A thick pillar of golden light shot upward into the heavens, cleaving the dark clouds. Simultaneously, the 7 sea god pillars around the island ignited. 7 golden beams of varying thickness surged from different directions and met the central pillar, erupting from the sea god hall. The combined radiance held for 10 seconds before subsiding. The dark clouds had been transformed into a mass of golden cloud. That light mass slowly condensed and took on a human silhouette. The figure was illusory, yet awe-inspiring, clad in golden armor that seemed to cover every inch, long dark blue hair falling over its shoulders, and in its hand a golden trident that looked capable of rending heaven and earth. The Douluo guardians standing before the sea god hall looked up, then knelt almost in unison, their eyes filled with devout light as they worshipped the image in the sky. The same scene played out across Sea God Island. Residents, seeing the phenomenon, emerged and prostrated themselves in open spaces without hesitation. The might of the sea god had made itself known for 1,000 miles around. Chapter 109, Heir to the Sea God. Out on the vast ocean, every living thing seemed to sense the presence of that golden apparition. The sea suddenly fell silent, the raging waves calmed, and creatures of all kinds hushed. Bodies instinctively turned toward Sea God Island, trembling as if in worship. Even the deep-sea demon whale king, on the verge of transforming into a dragon, had opened its single enormous eye, its gaze filled with shock and disbelief. Thousands of tiny golden rays sprang up from every direction. Some came from Sea God Island, but most came from the ocean itself. If sea god Douluo Bosaishi had seen this, she would have known at once. This was the power of faith she had spoken of, the faith of all things in the sea directed toward the sea god. Bathed in that faith, the enormous phantom of the sea god hanging in the sky slowly solidified, becoming ever clearer. Dai Mubai and the others stared in astonishment. The golden-armored sea god, when it resolved into a face, wore a visage they knew intimately. Xiao-san! That's Xiao-san! The face was identical to Tang San's, only its expression was one of absolute divine majesty. On the sea god platform inside the hall, Tang San stood with his right hand raised, clutching the sea god trident, over 12 feet long and blazing with endless golden light. The black that had once stained the trident had vanished, only brilliant gold remained. Every gilded line ran clear to the tip. The central blade, 2 feet long and half a foot wide, had a gigantic rhomboid gem set into its lower middle, formerly the vast sea cosmic shroud. Now the gem's blue had been replaced by golden crystal, fused into the trident. The 2 side blades flashed the same wave-like golden light. Each bore a barb on its outer edge. Where a cutting edge would be, there was none, only pure golden light. Tang San, gripping the sea god trident, could hardly contain himself. "I did it! I finally did it!" he shouted. "Father, mother, great-grandfather, wait for me. I will pass the sea god's trials. I will kill Qian Xunan and avenge you." With a roar, a burst of blue-gold light shot from the sea god trident into the heavens, shaking the world. Tang San collapsed from exhaustion and fell from the sea god hall. "This kid really might have a chance to inherit the sea god's divinity," Bosaishi said calmly. Her face was solemn as she reached out and grasped the trident with both hands. Under the vast fluctuation of soul power, she released her martial soul. 8 dark rings and 1 red, 9 spirit rings appearing at once. From her posture, it was clear she was exerting every ounce of strength. "Rise," she intoned. Immense soul power surged from her hands and enveloped the trident. Even so, the weapon did not snap free at once. It very slowly separated from Tang San's body. Boseishi's expression was tense, veins bulging on her forehead, as if she were truly using all her might. At last, she lifted the trident and gently set it beside Tang San. The sea god hall was no longer the dim place Tang San had entered. Elegant, light golden patterns spread across the ceiling, faint but just enough to illuminate the room. The designs ran down the walls, and Tang San felt the same gentle light all around him. Bosaishi's voice echoed, "If you're awake, get up." Tang San sat up and saw the sea god trident between them and Bosaishi not far away, seated on another platform. The 12-foot weapon still radiated a heavy presence. Only then did he notice that the light golden patterns covered every surface of the hall, across the main sea god platform beneath him and the 7 surrounding platforms. making the once simple hall magnificently solemn. Congratulations, Tang-san. You have passed the 7th trial of the sea god, and you have gained the sea god's recognition, Bosaichi said with a smile. Tang-san let out a long breath. Senior, he said, I know this was largely because of the vast sea cosmic shroud. You must see it too, isn't it? Bosaichi shook her head gently. No, you are the one chosen by the sea god. No one else can take your place. Tang-san's eyes fell to the rhomboid gem at the base of the trident blade. Now that the trident had reverted to black, the gem had gone transparent, losing the majestic glow it had shown when the weapon was drawn. Heart of the sea god? Tang-san murmured. So that's the true name of the vast sea cosmic shroud. Yes, Bosaichi confirmed. The heart of the sea god is not only the core of the sea god trident, but the core of the sea god's inheritance. From the moment you obtained it and were recognized, the sea god's trials for you began. Do you mean I was chosen by the sea god? Tang-san asked, astonished. You were, Bosaichi said. As long as you pass the sea god 9 trials, you can obtain the sea god's inheritance. Tang-san's determination flared. I will pass the 9 trials. I will become the sea god and avenge my parents. Bosaichi nodded, relief and approval in her eyes. I believe you can. Tang-san asked, Senior, what is the 8th trial of the sea god? Bosaichi answered, The 8th trial. You must cultivate your martial soul to the 9-ring level, collect all spirit bones, and resurrect your trial companions. You have a time limit of 5 years. After you complete the 8th trial, you may return to the Sea God Hall to accept the final trial. Tang-san's heart leapt. Great Priestess, so I can leave Sea God Island while completing the 8th trial? The island's rules apply to soul masters who have passed the trials, Bosaichi said. But you are not just a soul master, you are the sea god's inheritor. After you drew the trident, you are, in a manner of speaking, already half a sea god. You are not bound by those rules. Tang-san beamed. Then can I take my companions with me? Bosaichi regarded him coolly. You still haven't fully understood your sea god's light. Within the reach of the sea god's light, the sea god's majesty manifests. Under its protection, the island's rules do not fall upon you. Of course, the conditions of the Sea God 9 trials themselves remain in force. Tang-san inhaled deeply, excitement clear on his face. After more than 4 years on the island, he could finally leave. Bosaichi's expression softened. Rest on the island for a few days, then go. There are a few things about the Sea God Trident you must remember. Tell me, Tang-san said. First, Bosaichi warned, the Sea God Trident can only be held by you. It cannot be stored inside any soul tool. Try it, and the soul tool will be destroyed. Second, pay attention to its weight. When it is in your hand, it only feels like 108 jin. But when it leaves you, its weight is no longer 108 jin. Instead, she paused, then slowly finished, 108,000 jin. Tang-san stared. 108,000 jin? Yes, she said. I do not know what it is forged from, but unless it recognizes you, even divine power would find it extremely difficult to wield. Be careful where you set it down. Ideally, keep it on your person, then it weighs the manageable 108 jin. Otherwise, it bears the terrifying weight of 108,000 jin. So when I strike an enemy with it, will it hit with the force of 108,000 jin? Tang-san pressed. Bosaichi smiled faintly. That is the nature of a divine artifact. Even when your great-grandfather cultivated to 99 levels of soul power, his clear sky hammer was only 18,000 jin. The trident that rests in the sea god's hand is indestructible. Even the angel god's holy sword is only 36,000 jin. Tang-san picked the trident up and felt the paradox. In his hand, it weighed just over 100 jin, yet he knew it held overwhelming power. Even without activated skills, it was a weapon that could destroy the thick walls of a main city with a single blow. When you wish to use its power fully, you must awaken it with the sea god's light, Bosaichi explained. Only when you truly become the sea god will its power continuously bloom. As for its other abilities, you'll have to discover them yourself. Thank you, Great Priestess, Tang-san said, bowing deeply and holding the trident reverently. Even though the weapon's surface had gone black again, it felt perfectly fused with him. I have told you everything I can advise, Bosaichi said. You may leave Sea God Island whenever you wish. I will wait here for your return and hope to see you inherit the Sea God's divine position soon. When you come back to inherit it, you must bring your 7 companions. You will need their help." Tang bowed to her once more and then stepped away from the Sea God platform. After he had passed beyond the ring of the 7 platforms and turned to leave, Bo Saichi called out, "Wait." Tang stopped and looked back. "This is a personal matter," Bo Saichi said. "When you go, please pay your respects to your great-grandfather on my behalf." Tang immediately nodded. "I will," he promised. End of chapter. 110. Martial Soul Empire. Warm sunlight wrapped Tang in a soothing heat as he slowly recovered from his weakness. The light outside the Sea God Hall was far stronger than inside, but Tang San's purple demon eye adjusted quickly. Intense brightness did not trouble it. "Greetings, Lord," 7 voices said in unison. Tang turned and saw the 7 Sea God Sacred Pillar Guardian Douluo kneel on one knee together, saluting him. Their reverence was directed less at Tang himself than at the dark form of the Sea God Trident in his hand. Their eyes were fixed on it with deep respect. "There's no need for such ceremony, seniors," Tang said, stepping aside a few paces and accepting half of their bow. "Call me Tang. There's no reason to make such a big deal of it. I haven't even become the Sea God yet." Outside the hall, Dai Mu Bai and the other members of the Shrek 7 Devils stood with Bai Chenxiang. Xiao Wu looked closer to her old self now, though she was still in the state of someone without a soul. After taking the yearning heartbroken red, her recovery ability had become remarkable. Sea Dragon Douluo spoke solemnly. "Lord Tang has officially begun to inherit the Sea God position and has gained recognition from the Sea God Trident. The Sea God rules the ocean. We, as subordinates of Lord Sea God, must pay our respects." Tang smiled and walked forward, the trident in his right hand, taking Xiao Wu's arm with his left, and said sincerely, "We're about to leave Sea God Island. During these years, we've been through trials and you've all taken such good care of us. Senior Seahorse especially helped us so much. Whether or not I ultimately inherit the Sea God position, in my eyes, you're all my seniors." Before the 7 could answer, Mahongjin from the Shrek 7 Devils blurted out, "Third brother, you're leaving Sea God Island?" Tang nodded. "I've discussed it with the great priest. My 8th trial needs to be completed on the continent, so we must leave. After the 8th trial, we'll return for the 9th. If nothing else needs preparing, let's get ready to depart." At that, everyone lit up. No matter how beautiful Sea God Island was, several years of rigorous cultivation there had made them restless. There was no real freedom here. Except for Xiao Wu and Bai Chenxiang, everyone had broken through to rank 80 and was eager to return to the continent and confront Spirit Hall. With Sea God Douluo Bo Saichi's approval to leave, they were thrilled. "What's there to prepare? Let's go now," Oscar laughed. "We've been gone 4 years. Can't wait to see how the continent looks." Tang bowed slightly to the 7 guardians. "We'll bid farewell to you all. Then, we'll be back within 5 years." The 7 Sea God Sacred Pillar Guardian Douluo escorted them to the base of Sea God Mountain and watched as they took off across the waves. Tang led the group, trident in hand, Xiao Wu tucked into his left arm. They flew across the Ring Sea, heading toward the continent, the direction they had come from. Their destination, Spirit Hall, or rather, what Spirit Hall had become, the Spirit Empire. In the last 4 years, Spirit Hall had grown aggressively, annexing neighboring duchies and forming a vast Spirit Empire. It now had a real army and territorial authority. Spirit Hall had long been a revered institution for Spirit Masters. Few could refuse its recruitment and remain independent in the 2 great empires. That meant Spirit Empire's Spirit Masters could effectively be mobilized as an army. Under Qian Xunan's iron rule, there were rumors of god-slaying. Many were willing to pledge allegiance to Spirit Hall. Qian Xunan's strength had also continued to increase. Because his spirit rings could be upgraded indefinitely, over these 4 years, his Angel Martial Soul's 9th spirit ring had absorbed enough spirit power to turn golden. He already had 2 golden spirit rings. The golden ring on his Dark Angel Martial Soul came after slaying the Beast God, and now his Angel Martial Soul's ring had likewise become a million-year golden spirit ring through constant absorption. Qian Xunan felt far stronger than he had 4 years ago. If he fought the Rakshasa god now, he might not even need to use his dark angel martial soul. His angel martial soul with its golden ring alone could defeat the Rakshasa. For him, these peaceful years had been a chance to prepare. The calm only made the coming storm more certain. He knew reconciliation with the god realm was unlikely. Only by growing ever stronger could he hope to fight. Meanwhile, Qian Renshui's progress toward the Angel Ninth trial also moved smoothly. She had just passed the 8th trial. Only the 9th remained before she could ascend to godhood. In Spirit City's Elder Palace, Qian Renshui stood in the center before a gigantic seraphim statue, her body bathed in golden light. She was no longer someone who came to worship. She had become, in a sense, the focal point of the hall, like the statue itself. "Are you ready?" an old, steady voice asked. Qian Renshui looked up. Her eyes shone wholly golden, radiating a sacred light. "Yes, I am ready," she answered. Her voice was stripped of previous emotion, cool and detached, as if not entirely human. Another figure stepped from behind the angel statue, tall, imposing, and the old voice cleared with his appearance. "My purpose has been to wait for this day. I have waited over 100 years. Follow me." Sacrifice! Sacrifice! A colossal angel statue rose before Qian Renshui. From behind it, Qian Douluo stepped out slowly. A flash of light burst from him, enveloping his form in a golden radiance. 9 spirit rings arranged themselves around him, and 3 pairs of pure white wings unfurled, his seraphim spirit. Apart from the wings, his whole body was sheathed in gold. Compared to Qian Renshui's innate golden hue, it seemed different, but once his spirit activated, he supplanted both Qian Renshui and the angel statue, becoming the focal point of the entire Elder Palace. A diamond-shaped golden gem appeared on Qian Dalu's forehead. Without any visible motion, he was suddenly before the angel statue. A peculiar beam shot from the gem and struck the center of the statue's brow. At that point, a golden vortex opened there, and the statue trembled. Qian Renshui, her eyes wholly golden, showed a flicker of surprise. She had never seen this before. "Child, follow me," Qian Dalu said, then quickened, crashing straight into the giant angel. Qian Renshui did not release her spirit. Her body floated lightly, and she followed him, striking the statue as well. But instead of a violent impact, it was like plunging through rippling water. A flash, and Qian Dalu vanished. Qian Renshui, right behind him, disappeared into the statue too. The vortex at the brow slowly folded away, and the ethereal sensation faded. In the shimmering light, calm returned, but grandfather and granddaughter had been drawn into that receding gold. Qian Renshui found herself inside a peculiar world wrapped in warmth. Illusory golden ripples swirled around them, as if passing through a tunnel of condensed light. Qian Daolu led the way. After what felt like an eternity, the mirage cleared and solidity returned. They stood in a grand hall suspended in a star-filled void. The hall was hexagonal, supported by 6 enormous golden pillars. No walls, only black space studded with stars. Intricate feather-shaped patterns were carved across the floor, roof, and pillars. At the center stood a 3-meter-tall angel statue, identical to the one in the Elder Palace, but small and dull gray. Before it, a long gray sword was plunged into the ground. 6 wings fanned out from the statue's back, lifelike, though the whole figure looked dead. "Grandpa, where are we?" Qian Renshui's voice finally carried a trace of feeling. Qian Daolu smiled, something unreadable in his expression. "This is the true angel temple, the place where the angel god's legacy is passed down. Child, come." He guided her to the statue. He took her hand and looked at the diamond-shaped gem that had also appeared on her forehead. "You will restore its light here and bring angels back to the human world. This is where you will finish the final trial of the Angel 9 trials and truly inherit the angel god position to ascend to god level." "Xiaoshui?" Qian Daolu's voice pulled her back from her thoughts. "Grandpa, what do I have to do?" she asked, steadying herself. "With your blood." He pointed to a round, transparent gem set into the hilt of the dull, long sword before the statue. Qian Renshui inhaled deeply. The final moment had come. Her right hand rose and covered the gem. She dragged her thumbnail across her middle finger. Strange-colored blood, driven by her angel spirit, spurted from the cut, neither human red nor purely gold, a faint pink shot with gold, scented faintly. Her hand trembled as the wounded finger was drawn and pressed against the transparent gem. The smooth stone seemed ravenous, greedily drinking her blood. It gushed out, and Qian Renshui shuddered as her spirit responded. Spirit rings began to form around her one after another. 6 massive wings exploded from her back and fanned out. Forced by the gem's hunger, her spirit was being unleashed. Qian Douluo watched tensely as the blood filled the gem. First it glowed pink gold, then the pink faded until it became pure gold. Golden light flowed from the gem down into the sword, seeping into its metal. A numbness crept through Qian Renshui. She kept herself steady and pushed more spirit power to force more blood out, though her body grew unable to move. The golden light surged, illuminating the angel temple. The feather patterns carved everywhere flickered to life, and pale gold ran through them as if awakening. Qian Daoliu's eyes shone with fervent joy. "I have waited for this moment too long," he murmured. "Though I could not become a god at level 100, my descendant will." At that moment, Qian Xunan happened to walk out of the palace. A shaft of golden light shot up from the hall of worship, piercing the clouds and erupting a terrifying aura. Surprised, he whispered, "The aura of a god. Is Xiaoshui about to inherit the angel god position?" He hurried toward the hall to watch the anointing, curious to see the difference between a god who receives anointing and one, like himself, who had only been granted divine force. Qian Xunan reached the entrance and waited in the doorway without entering. Qian Daoliu seemed to lift his right leg with effort and step forward. He came to stand between the gray angel statue and the sword that was turning gold. The fervor in his eyes softened into something like benevolence as he looked at Qian Renshui. "Child, this is your final trial, and it is my last. No matter how great the pain, you must succeed." "Grandpa, what are you doing?" Qian Renshui cried, unease rising. There was something in his calm, kind gaze that made her chest tighten. Qian Daoliu smiled faintly. "Foolish child, there must always be a give and take. This is my fate. As guardian of the angel god, my existence is for the inheritance of the angel deities. Without me, you cannot complete this final step. Don't be sad. You are unable to move now, and you cannot stop me." He spoke, and with a roar, intense golden flames sprang from his body. The flames had no heat, but they lit the whole temple. The faint glow on the carvings flared into bright gold. Qian Daoliu became the center of the temple, replacing the statue. "Grandpa, no!" Qian Renshui screamed and struggled, but she could not move. The gem on the sword's hilt drew at her whole being and held her fast. Qian Daoliu's body turned entirely golden. The self-igniting angel flame consumed his spirit, his body, his soul, everything. The pure angel flame devoured him as the gray statue hungrily absorbed the energy spilling from the fire. Outside, Qian Xunan felt a terrifying force. He sensed his father's life force burning and cried out, "Father!" Staring at the towering hall, shocked, he called, "Father, you're not planning to sacrifice yourself, are you?" "No," he shouted and stepped into the hall. Inside, the space was empty. Only the colossal angel statue stood before him. "Father, Xiaoshui, where are you?" Qian Xunan searched, finding no sign of either of them. Then he remembered the small worlds he'd entered before, the ones opened by the Asura god and the Rakshasa god. Could they be trapped in a small world too? End of chapter. "Angel! Angel! Angel!" Qian Xunan cried again as he stared at the tall angel statue, then asked, "Is this the place?" He poured out his divine force. The energy flowed into the statue and a shaft of sacred light burst forth. A golden portal shimmered into being before him. He thought of his father and of Xiaoshui. If they were sacrificing themselves, they could be dying, and he had to stop them. "Father, don't do anything rash," he shouted, and without hesitation stepped through the portal. Inside the inheritance hall, Qian Daoliu's figure was thinning into light. His voice came in ragged fragments, each word costly. "Child, you are Grandpa's pride, always have been. Endure this last trial and attain, angel." Qian Renshui snapped back to awareness as the sound tore into her. Before her, her grandfather's body was being consumed by golden flame. Through tears, she caught his gentle, encouraging eyes one last time. "Grandpa!" she cried, struggling as raw grief tore her apart. A strange suction seized her hand, pulling it from the gem on the sword's hilt to the hilt itself. The long sword embedded before the angel statue tore free with a thunderous hum. Golden light erupted, and the angel temple flared into a blazing orb, brighter than moon or torch, lighting the night like a sun. The city around it was bathed in gold. The temple itself seethed as every pattern and carving ignited in sacred flame. Qian Renshui felt her body shift. The gray angel statue had turned pure gold and opened its arms, enfolding her. Something poured into her. The diamond-shaped gem on her forehead flared, and vast currents of energy surged through her. Her heart could not hold grief in the face of that onslaught. Everything turned to gold, even her perceptions. For a moment she lost the ability to think. A majestic voice echoed through the temple until all the golden light solidified around her. "Angel, descent!" The golden glow dimmed. The central statue had vanished. Only Qian Renshui remained. 3 pairs of seraphic wings shimmered behind her, now fully formed and golden. Her hair, the color of burnished metal, tumbled down her back. In her right hand she held the ancient longsword aloft. Her body was wreathed in golden flame. Feather-like patterns spread from the sword's tip, crawling down its blade and then over her own skin like a second skin of living light. They coalesced into garments, then into filigree that enveloped her. Her consciousness returned in ragged bursts, and her soul woke with a pain that was not wholly physical. Her body felt as if millions of ants were under her skin, an unbearable, maddening itch that gnawed at bone and marrow. She could not scream, could not move. The agony stripped her of thought. If her soul failed under this torment, everything would collapse. The deity's inheritance would be lost, and she would be scattered to dust within the angel temple. With that terrible clarity, she forced her will into being. Her will hardened, and she gritted herself against the sensation. Minutes dragged. The torture rose and fell like a storm. Each time she steadied, her resolve thinned again. "Endure," a phantom voice urged from the depths of her mind. It was Qian Douluo, surrounded in golden flame, his eyes steady and proud. "Do not give up. This was bought with my life." "Grandpa," she whispered inwardly, clinging to the image as if it were a raft. "I won't give up. I will succeed. Rest at ease. Give me strength." Her body convulsed under the inheritance's demands. Every tremor brightened the golden patterns that crawled over her. The diamond on her forehead shattered and reformed as a golden mark, the likeness of a seraphim, a tiny angel statue impressed into her brow. Another convulsion rolled through her, and she felt years peel away. She looked and felt younger, as if the transformation were resetting her very flesh. The 6 wings on her back burned like molten gold. Each beat sent ripples of distorted light across the temple. Then, with a keening cry, the itch multiplied exponentially. Golden mist fountained from her, and 6 strange phosphorescent bones materialized around her, hovering as if pulled into being by some hidden gravity. The marks on her skin dissolved into streaks of light and flowed into the bones. These were the angel set, bones of legend and a treasure of the spirit hall. Until now, she had dared only 5 of them. The last, the body spirit bone, had remained separate, but now all 6 rose and began to change. Under the hunger of the golden patterns, the bone shapes melted. They liquefied into a mass of molten gold, forming a great orb that hovered 3 meters before her chest. Pain clawed her anew. She teetered on the edge of collapse. The image of her grandfather's sacrifice and his words somehow kept her pinned to endurance. With a thunderous crash, the orb struck her, a meteor of living light plunging into her being. The molten gold rushed along every curve and contour, pouring over and into her. Her soul screamed. She felt it fracture. Thin cracks splayed through it as if under pressure. "This is it," she thought dreadfully. "Is this how it ends? Do I fail here after everything?" Unwillingness flared, animal and fierce. "No," she shrieked inside, throwing all remaining will into the breach. But the pressure was too great. Her soul threatened to splinter. Then a figure of pure gold appeared before her, Qian Xunan. Energy like a storm poured from him, a terrifying divine force nesting into Qian Renshui's body. Under that influx, her wounds knit, the fissures in her soul sealed, and her eyes brightened. The golden phantom that had been the temple's avatar seemed to stir. From that luminous form, a beautiful skyborn figure slowly took shape behind her. Qian Renshui kept her eyes closed, continuing to receive the inheritance, but the new angelic apparition opened its eyes. They burned with sudden, fierce light. It looked at Qian Xunan and said, cool and terrible, "Qian Xunan, you killed the Rakshasa god, didn't you? You've become a god." A supremely beautiful angel stood before Qian Xunan. 6 pale gold wings fanned from her back. She wore a robe the color of purest white, a crown of burnished red sat upon her head, and in her hand she held a dazzling greatsword inlaid with several glittering gems. Her skin was flawless, her features exquisitely formed, long lashes framed limpid eyes, a straight nose, and sensuous lips that together made a face of perfect symmetry. A sacred radiance flowed from her, and it was impossible not to feel awe in her presence. "Qian Xunan," the angel said, looking straight at her. "You killed the Rakshasa god, didn't you?" Qian Xunan returned the gaze calmly and nodded. "Yes, I killed the Rakshasa god. Are you the god of angels?" The angel inclined her head. "Indeed, I am the creator of Spirit Hall, and I am your ancestor." Qian Xunan didn't hesitate. "Where is my father?" The god of angels regarded her with steady calm. He gave everything for the angel's legacy. He sacrificed himself to open the path to divinity for Qian Renshui. "What did you say?" Qian Shunan's brows drew together. The aura around her turned frigid. A terrifying pressure coiled from her, warping the air itself. Her eyes went cold as she snapped. "Is this your rule for ascension, sacrificing the lives of your descendants?" The god of angels remained composed. "No, not at all. The rules of the angel legacy are few. I chose Qian Renshui, so she is the rightful heir to the godhood. But her foundation was not strong. If your high priest had not sacrificed himself, I doubt she could have begun the legacy at all." Hearing that, Qian Xunan began to piece it together. Her father had given his life willingly, but Qian Renshui's weakness had been a factor. If Renshui had not gone undercover in the Heaven Du Empire and had instead dedicated herself to cultivation, her base would have been firmer, and Douluo's sacrifice would not have been necessary. But that was the past. Qian Shunan's concern was how to fix it now. "You're a god," she said, her voice icier than before. "Can you bring my father back?" "I cannot," the god of angels replied without hesitation. "Though I am a deity, I do not have the power to restore the dead." Qian Shunan's gaze sharpened. "There's truly no way?" The god of angels considered for a moment. "Though he gave his life, his soul has not dissipated. I have preserved it. If we could obtain the aid of the goddess of life to reshape his body, perhaps he could be resurrected." "Reshape his body?" A flicker of hope returned to Qian Shunan's eyes. "Can you take me to the goddess of life?" The god of angels shook her head. "I'm sorry, I cannot." "Why not?" Qian Xunan pressed. "Do you think a divinity would casually intervene to save a mortal?" the god of angels asked softly. Qian Xunan understood immediately. The divinities were proud and remote. No matter how mighty Qian Douluo had been on the continent, in the god realm he was nothing. The high and mighty there would never bend for a mere mortal. It was impossible to compel them. "Is there any other way?" she asked. The god of angels' expression was solemn. "I don't know of any, at least not now. Although I am a first-ranked deity, my standing in the god realm is not high. And you have killed the Rakshasa god, an act that has angered the god realm. They certainly won't help you." She paused, then added, "Put your father's matter aside for a moment. There is something else I must tell you." "What is it?" Qian Xunan asked. "When I pass my god position to Qian Renshui, I will leave the god realm and go into the void," the god of angels said. "Once I go, I will be even less able to protect Spirit Hall. I want to entrust the protection of Spirit Hall to you." Qian Shunan's face showed no deference. "You didn't protect Spirit Hall before. Why should I trust you to hand it over now?" "Where was I when the Rakshasa god descended to the mortal world?" the god of angels asked, voice heavy with regret. "I know you resent me, but at that time I was held back by the sea god and could not intervene." "The sea god?" Qian Xunan frowned. "Yes, your enemies are not only the Rakshasa god. You must be wary of the sea god and the Asura god as well. From what I know, they are displeased with you and may move against you, and there is one more you must fear." "Who?" Qian Xunan demanded. "The god of destruction," the god of angels said. Qian Xunan stared, surprised. "The god of destruction?" "He is, like the Asura god, one of the 5 god kings of the god realm," the god of angels explained. "His power rivals Asura's. The god realm is split into 2 factions, an enforcement faction led by the Asura god king and a libertarian faction led by the destruction god king. The Rakshasa god you killed was a competent subordinate of the destruction god king. Since you killed his subordinate, the destruction god will not let you go easily." You are now the target of two god kings. Your situation is dangerous. Fortunately, both are arrogant enough not to descend to the mortal world and finish you off, at least not yet. Qian Xunan's expression darkened. So how am I supposed to protect Spirit Hall when I'm being hunted by divinities? The god of angels' gaze softened minutely. Perhaps you haven't realized it yet, but you have already become a divinity. Qian Xunan blinked in surprise. What did you say? You have already become a deity, the god of angels continued. The divine force within you now even surpasses mine. Even I feel an incredible pressure in your presence. Although you haven't received the anointment of a god position, I can feel that the divine force in your body is terrifying, far greater than mine, the angel god said, watching Qian Xunan as a faint divine light played around her form. Qian Xunan returned her gaze and asked, Since Renshui will inherit your god position, where will you go? The angel god answered quietly, I seek a higher place. This world is smaller than you imagine. Beyond the god realm lies the great god circle, and beyond that, even vaster cosmic expanses. The god realm is merely where we reside. To leave it and maintain order, one must pass one's god position to a successor. Qian Xunan thought for a moment. A divinity who never receives a god position isn't necessarily weaker than one who does. A god position is an identity. True strength comes from one's innate power. Your lack of anointment won't weaken you. It only means you can't officially hold office in the god realm. That's why I can protect Spirit Hall. The angel god regarded him calmly. Besides, Qian Renshui inherited my god position. Her bond with you is deep. She can assist you far more effectively. Qian Xunan's tone grew steadier. I promise to protect Spirit Hall. It's my home as well. But Ancestor, I ask one favor. He called her Ancestor for the first time, a small admission of respect. The angel god inclined her head. What do you want? I want you to help me find a way to revive my father. You said you could not get the god of life involved, so I'll settle for any method of revival. Everything else I can handle myself. The angel god considered him for a moment, then nodded. I can agree to that. Qian Xunan glanced up, hope and resolve mingling in his face, and then asked, If my father can be revived, what about my elder brother, Qian Xunji? No, the angel god replied calmly. Why? He asked, surprised. Your father sacrificed his power to me. That allowed me to preserve his soul, so revival is possible. Your elder brother was devoured by the Rakshasa. His soul has long since dissipated. A body without a soul can only be a walking corpse. The angel god's voice was plain and final. Qian Xunan did not break down. He had already done what he could for his brother. His father still had a chance, and he would pursue it. For his brother, there was nothing left to do. He bowed his head briefly. Thank you. The angel god lifted a slender hand. I can't give you my god position, she said, but I can give you something else. A ray of light pierced the point between his brows, and a flood of knowledge poured into his mind. The angel god's most profound techniques, her divine abilities. Unlike spirit abilities, which rely on spirit rings, divine abilities are learned and comprehended. They do not require rings to activate, and each contains extraordinary power. Qian Xunan absorbed the lessons, his eyes widening as he recognized how potent they were. To him, each divine ability matched or even surpassed his spirit abilities. He memorized them as they were imparted. I give all these divine abilities to you. I hope they help you grow, the angel god said simply. A faint smile crossed Qian Xunan's face. Thank you. You do not need to thank me, she replied, smiling as well. In fact, I owe you. Your talent surpasses any in my clan, yet I did not choose you to inherit my god position. Why? Qian Xunan asked. I noticed you from the day you were born, the angel god explained. I intended to watch you grow and name you successor when the time came, but you disappeared for a long while. I thought you were dead. I had to choose another. I chose Qian Renshui. Her talent is similar to yours. If she had not neglected her cultivation, your high priest would not have had to sacrifice himself. By the time you returned, I had already named a successor. Still, I believe your potential will be even greater without my god position. Greater potential? Qian Xunan repeated, unsure. The angel god focused on him. I don't know where you got that unusual power, but your spirit rings can be enhanced comprehensively. Normally, after becoming a divinity, you cannot improve by absorbing spirit power, but your rings can absorb spirit power indefinitely. That means you can keep growing without going to the God realm. Had I given you a God position and sent you there, your progress, limited to absorbing divine force, might not have been as fast. Time flows differently in the God realm. One day there equals a year here. Here, you simply have more time to cultivate. Qian Xunan absorbed this, a look of understanding dawning. The angel god continued, "If you want to enter the God realm in the future, there are two ways. One is to inherit another god's divinity, but I don't think that suits someone like you, who doesn't revere existing divinities. The other is to create your own god position. How to do that depends on your own comprehension. One could call it your Tao." "My Tao?" Qian Xunan frowned, confused. "Tao is a path," she said. "Laws govern much of the God realm. Elemental gods embody laws. The god of thunder embodies the law of thunder, the god of fire the law of fire, the god of life the law of life, the god of destruction the law of destruction. If you can one day comprehend your own law, you can create your own god position and become a law god." Qian Xunan nodded slowly. He had a rough idea of what creating a god position entailed, though mastering a law seemed far beyond him. The angel god's voice softened with a warning. "This path is exceedingly difficult. Even among the divinities of the God realm, few master a complete law. Those who do are supremely powerful. Sometimes first-ranked divinities can rival god kings. If you choose this path, innumerable obstacles will stand in your way." Qian Shunan's mouth curved into a small, steady smile. "It sounds like the right path for me. No matter how hard it is, I will try." 115. 1,000 feet of snow becomes a god. The god of angels gave a faint nod when she heard Qian Xunan's plan. Then she turned to him and said, "If that's your choice, follow your own path. I have a feeling that in time, your deeds may surpass mine. Oh, and one more thing to watch," she added. Qian Xunan met her gaze evenly. "What is it?" "The sea god showed me a child in the lower realm," the god of angels said. "He has been chosen as the sea god's disciple. The sea god may one day pass his position to this child to deal with you." "A child?" Qian Xunan frowned. "Who?" "His name is Tang. Tang. The name stirred a memory. He had not paid much attention to the boy before, but in just a few years, Tang had already received the sea god's inheritance. That was not something to dismiss. "This Tang is a chosen one," the god of angels went on. "His destiny is powerful. You should keep an eye on him. He may become your greatest enemy." Qian Xunan's expression hardened. "Next time I meet him, I will kill him." He was not soft-hearted. He had let Tang go out of indifference before. If Tang was growing into a threat, he could not be allowed to live. The god of angels inclined her head. "That is all. You may go." She waved, and Qian Xunan was instantly pulled back into reality. The conversation had given him much, a clearer direction for the future and the identity of an enemy. He would need to grow stronger if he hoped to contend with the god realm. A golden orb of energy hovered in his palm, the soul of his father, Qian Douluo. Qian Xunan stared at the small light, determination hardening his features. "Father, I will find a way to bring you back," he promised. He did not leave. He waited outside the angel temple for Qian Renshui's breakthrough. Inside the temple, Qian Renshui's true form hovered in the air, 6 wings fluttering gently. Her body twitched as golden light coursed and concentrated around her. Then a searing, holy radiance exploded outward. A dazzling armor of pure gold flashed into being, molding itself to her frame. A raised breastplate, a narrow waistguard, a golden battle skirt about 1.5 feet long, rounded pauldrons, each piece fitting perfectly. The small angel sigil on her brow glowed, forming a circlet across her forehead. At its center, a gem in the shape of a tiny angel shimmered. Above it, 7 crest-like waves rose into a crown. Feather motifs tracked over every part of the armor, and her 6 wings turned brilliant gold, vibrating softly. From Qian Renshui's body, concentric rings of golden light rippled outward. The guard of the angel sword in her grasp split and unfolded like a pair of wings, and vast golden flames surged from under her soles, wrapping her completely. Behind her, a colossal angelic phantom took shape, clear, immense, encompassing her, and then condensing until it fused into her being. The gem on her circlet flared, and a cold, piercing current of light shot deep into her soul before detonating. "Ah!" Qian Renshui cried out, and holy light patterns burst across her skin. The ornamental suit had become true angel god armor. Feather-like streams of light drifted and whirled around her. In Spirit City's Elder Palace, the giant angel statue at the hall's center trembled. Fine veins of golden light traced its form. Then the statue shattered with a thunderous crash, breaking into countless motes of golden radiance. From that radiant core emerged Qian Xunji, golden armor gleaming, 6 wings beating slowly. The angel god Qian Xunji had returned. She lifted her sword. Surging flames formed a pillar of golden light that stabbed through the hall's ceiling and shot into the sky. The energy blast rolled outward, eclipsing even the sun with its intensity. Qian Xunan watched the terrifying shaft of light and murmured, "Xiaoshui, you finally succeeded." Slowly, the angel god stepped out of the hall. Seeing Qian Xunan, divine light still humming about her, Qian Xunji spoke softly. "Uncle, Grandpa, he." Qian Xunan gave a small nod. "No need to say more. I understand." He looked at her with resolve. "Xiaoshui, you can stand on your own now. Don't grieve so much. We'll find a way to bring your grandfather back." "Can Grandpa really be revived?" she asked, hope sparking. "Yes," he replied. Her eyes shone with renewed hope. "Uncle, when will you launch the war against the Heaven Do Empire?" "We've been dormant for many years," Qian Xunan said calmly. "Perhaps the time has come." Qian Xunji nodded quickly. "I still have some time before I must go to the God realm. Before I leave, I will help you, Uncle, help you conquer the continent." Qian Xunan inclined his head slightly in acknowledgement. At the same time, Tang had returned from Sea God Island. He first went back to the Heaven Do Empire, then hurried to his Tang sect. But when he arrived, he found not the familiar grandeur of his sect but a ruin, severely damaged, collapsed buildings strewn about. Oh no, what happened? Tang San's heart began to pound as he ran inside. Once he stepped through the shattered gates, the truth hit him. The Tang sect had suffered a devastating blow. Inside, everything was in chaos. Even the taller buildings had crumbled. The place that had once been his home was ruin. How could this be? Tang San stood amid the wreckage, staring at the devastation in stunned disbelief. 116. Tang San is back. Tang San still remembered leaving a thriving Tang sect, everything on track, backed by the royal family, with the potential to become the strongest sect in the Heaven Do Empire. But in just a few short years, it had been reduced to ruin. How had it come to this? Who could have wrought such devastation? Questions crowded his mind, but above all surged a raw, furious anger. There was not a single living soul left among the Tang sect. Blood stained the ground, and the faint, sweet, metallic scent of blood hung in the air. Broken walls and collapsed halls testified to a tragic, desolate end. At that moment, a squad of palace guards arrived and immediately surrounded Tang San. "Who are you, and what are you doing here?" their captain demanded. Tang San turned, eyes blazing. "Why? Tell me why the Tang sect has been reduced to this." The captain started in surprise. Are you King Lan Hao?" Tang San nodded once. Relief spread across the captain's face. "Please, King Lan Hao, come to the Imperial Palace. His Majesty must explain everything to you." Tang San's voice was cold. "Lead the way." The captain bowed and led him through the ruined streets. Tang San's eyes were bloodshot, killing intent coiling under his skin. He wanted the culprit, wanted to know who had dared destroy the entire Tang sect. They passed through street after street until at last they reached the Imperial Palace, still as majestic and solemn as ever. Standing before the main hall, Tang San felt a chilling aura emanating from within. He bowed toward the hall. "Your Majesty," he called, but at first no answer came. He repeated the greeting, and finally a voice replied from inside. "Teacher, please rise." A young man emerged, Emperor Shui Beng of the Heaven Do Empire. Behind him walked Imperial Advisor Ning Fengji and another advisor, Tang Xiao. "Little San, you're back!" Ning Fengji and Tang Xiao hurried forward with obvious relief. Tang Xiao's eyes were reddened. He grabbed Tang San's shoulders as if to steady himself. Uncle Ning, why are you here?" Tang San asked, bewildered. Ning Fengji grinned and patted his shoulder. "You brat, you didn't even tell us you were coming back. How were we supposed to greet you?" Tang San's expression darkened. "When I returned, I went straight to the Tang sect." "What happened?" "The Tang sect." "Many things have happened while you were away," Tang Xiao said. "Calm down, we'll explain." They told him everything that had transpired since Tang San left for Sea God Island. Qian Xunan bringing Qian Xunji, the one man who had stormed the imperial palace and beheaded Emperor Shuiye. Tang San clenched his fists until his nails hurt, his gaze turned ice cold. He had never imagined Qian Xunan capable of such madness. "Qian Xunan?" he muttered, hardly daring to believe it. When they learned that both the Tang sect and the Clear Sky sect had been obliterated by Qian Xunan, Tang San's hands tightened even more. His body trembled as overwhelming hatred rose, his lips white from biting down. Shui Beng sighed. Qian Xunan's strength is terrifying. Even the titled Douluo elders of the Clear Sky sect combined could not stand against him. The Rakshasa god himself descended to the mortal realm and was slain by him. Tang San bowed his head. "How could this happen? Qian Xunan, I will tear him to pieces." Ning Fengji shook his head. "Little San, I know you want revenge, but now is not the time." Shui Beng's voice was bitter. "Teacher, we all want revenge, but how can we possibly match Qian Xunan? You must understand, he even killed a god." Tang San's reply came steady and certain. "There is only one way to deal with Qian Xunan." They all looked at him. "What way?" "Only if I become a god can I face Qian Xunan," Tang San said. Tang Xiao asked, "What stage did you reach in your sea god trials?" "I passed the 7th trial," Tang San answered. "I only need 2 more trials to inherit the sea god's power." He explained the remaining trials. One required him to acquire spirit rings and perfect spirit bones for his twin spirits, the very reason he had returned home, and the final trial had yet to be revealed. Tang Xiao's face hardened. "As things stand, we have no other option. We must place our hopes on you," Tang Xiao said. Shui Beng nodded. "In terms of military strength, the Heaven Du Empire still has a fighting chance, but in Spirit Masters, we are outmatched by Qian Xunan. Fortunately, Qian Xunan angered the gods and was punished. Though he slew a god, many still see him as an unrighteous rebel, and many have sided with us." Ning Fengji added, "If it comes to an all-out war, we might have a chance with our armies, but we lack someone who can hold back Qian Xunan." Tang San understood. "Then, I don't have much time. I must gather spirit rings as quickly as possible, then return to Sea God Island for the final trial." "Exactly," Tang Xiao said. "Only when you become a god will we have hope of defeating that evil." Tang San nodded with resolute certainty. "All right, don't worry, I won't fail you." Ning Fengji's tone grew grave. "We've never forgotten the grievance over your parents' deaths, but this time we cannot help. Our power is no match for Qian Xunan. Only when you are truly strong can you seek revenge." "I understand," Tang San replied. "I haven't forgotten. This must be done carefully. Rushed vengeance will only fail." He vowed in secret to kill Qian Xunan. Then he hurried to the Star-Do Great Forest to hunt spirit beasts for his remaining spirit rings. There he faced and defeated a dark, demonic, evil god tiger, a man-faced demon spider, and 3,000-ton ants. As he absorbed the spirit rings, a thread of blue-gold light rose from his right leg bone and spread rapidly over his body like a net. A powerful healing force took hold. His disordered, broken meridians began to knit back together at an astonishing speed. The sea god trident's imprint on his forehead glowed, and the trident in his hand brightened. Dazzling golden patterns intertwined with the blue-gold light around him as the sea god's energy flowed into Tang San, combining with the right leg bone's healing power and accelerating his recovery. The extreme pain ebbed. What followed felt almost like relief. When he used his mental force to look inward, he saw meridians returning to their proper channels, broken pathways restoring, even displaced internal organs moving back into place. Each cleared meridian allowed energy to circulate more freely, and as the circulation improved, his strength rose almost visibly. The mysterious heaven skill mist that accompanied his breathing reappeared, but its color had shifted from white to a faint gold, influenced by the blue-gold light and the sea god energy. As his meridians mended, his spirit power swelled. The golden hue deepened through his meridians, tendons, bones, and organs. This was partly from absorbing the 3 spirit rings, and partly because the Clear Sky Hammer had finally fully recognized him. His body was evolving toward godhood. Although he had not yet taken the sea god's final inheritance, his twin spirits and 6 spirit bones pushed him ever closer. His cultivation rose to 96. Tang San felt immensely powerful. He examined his renewed body and murmured, "Qian Xunan, just wait." I'll become a god very soon, and when I do, I will kill you." His voice had barely faded when a soft, cutting voice sounded nearby, like ice water poured over him. Tang San flinched and sprang back, the sea god trident slicing a golden arc toward the source of the voice. A figure stepped out from behind a large tree 10 meters away. She wore a golden palace gown, simple and elegant, seemingly woven of gold thread, with a high collar that framed her slender neck. Her golden hair fell loosely down her back, not elaborately styled, creating a striking contrast with her immaculate robe. The woman who had just appeared was the god of angels, Qian Xunan. End of this chapter. Qian Xunan appeared before Tang San with golden eyes as calm as still water. There was no ripple of spirit power about her. At a glance, she might have passed for an ordinary person. Yet in those eyes, Tang San sensed something uniquely alien, something he could not immediately name. Between her brows was a small golden seraphim mark. Her skin was like snow, her face peerless. She looked barely 18 or 19, and her presence felt completely natural, as if she had always belonged here and had only now chosen to step into the scene. That effortless harmony made Tang San feel oddly uneasy. What surprised him most was how ordinary she seemed. There was no detectable spirit fluctuation at all, and yet, on closer inspection, he noticed she was not touching the ground. Her feet hovered about 3 inches above it, as if she were treading on the blue-silver grass. "Have you been here long?" Tang San asked, smiling calmly. Qian Xunan inclined her head with a graceful nod. "Yes, I arrived when you first fought those 3 ants and released your domain." Tang San's mouth twitched. She had been here when he released his blue-silver domain? That meant she had stood inside his domain, and he had not been aware of her presence. He kept smiling, as if speaking to an old acquaintance. "Long time no see. You seem to have changed a lot." Qian Xunan sighed softly. "Yes, it has been a long time. I have changed. Have you not?" Her smile had a gentle, spellbinding quality that drew Tang San's gaze for a fraction longer than usual. The leaves of the surrounding trees stirred and rustled, as if answering some unseen rhythm. "They say one smile can topple a city, another topple a nation," Tang San said with a faint laugh. "I never thought I'd see it happen, though what your smile has toppled today is this Stardow Great Forest." Qian Xuan's smile deepened. "Is that meant as a compliment?" Tang San lightly stroked the sea god trident he held. "Just an observation. It's a pity you're my enemy," she murmured with another soft smile. "Otherwise, I'd invite you to our spirit hall." Tang San's expression turned serious. "Miss Qian Xunan, have you already become a god?" For a long moment, she looked at him without speaking. Her calm, compassionate gaze nevertheless pressed on him with an inexplicable weight, an inner force that seemed to reach down into his very soul. Finally, she spoke, almost regretfully. "You can tell? I couldn't sense your realm. Apart from a god, there's nothing else I can think of." Tang San's smile was wry. "You've surprised me. In a few years, you've achieved what every titled Douluo dreams of. Presumably the dream your grandfather, Qian Douluo, had too, reaching level 100 and becoming a god. I thought maybe Qian Xunan would be the one most likely to do it in the Spirit Empire." Qian Xunan spoke coolly. "My uncle didn't need to become a god. His strength was already beyond god level a long time ago. Otherwise, how do you think he beat the Rakshasa god?" Tang San startled. Qian Xunan had once defeated the Rakshasa god, and even if Tang San himself reached god level, he couldn't be sure he could defeat Qian Xunan. Now seeing Qian Xunan deified before him, Tang San realized Spirit Hall had 2 gods. How could he possibly win? He forced himself to focus. "You didn't come here just to chat, did you?" Qian Xuan's voice was gentle but cold. "I was defeated by you in Heaven Do Empire back then. Today, I have come to kill you." Tang San inhaled and let out the breath with a steadying calm. Facing a god, there was only one choice. "Then let's fight." Qian Xuan's lips curled with contempt. "You? Do you even have the right to be compared with my uncle?" A hazy golden mist rose from her body like a veil. In an instant, she seemed to be the axis of the world itself. The sensation of heaven and earth coalescing with her made Tang San feel as if she were no longer a mere person before him, but had become the space around him. The pressure was not just physical. It drilled into his heart and depressed his spirit. From head to toe, she glowed. Every small movement seemed to control the immediate environment. The sea god trident in Tang San's hands warmed as if it too understood the challenge, trembling to meet the god of angels. Tang San, Qian Renxue said, staring at him as if she could see every part of him. Do you really think you can get away today? Tang San slammed the sea god trident into the ground. The earth cracked in a 10-meter radius with a thunderous report. His aura flared, battle intent roaring to the surface to counter her all-encompassing pressure. He sneered. The angel clan boasts and schemes like cowards. Even if I die today, I'll make you bleed. Qian Renshui's composure broke into a flash of anger. Tang San seized the moment. Take this, he shouted, and his momentum rocketed to its peak. His left foot drove forward, and the sea god trident stabbed straight for her chest. The sea god mark on his forehead flared gold as the sea god's power filled him. Every ounce of his strength was poured into the strike. He fueled it with the thrust of his leg and condensed all his energy along the trident's shaft. The air around the trident twisted and shimmered like liquid, and a ball of golden light erupted from its tip. Qian Renxue stepped forward to meet the blow. She raised her right hand, and that hand, sheathed in golden radiance, closed around the trident's blade. Her palm met the sea god's light and at first seemed to melt it into the golden aura emanating from her hand. The blue-gold pillar of Tang San's domain that had swelled from his feet to her vanished almost instantly. Dispel. She spoke it plainly. The blue-gold column went entirely golden, then shattered into motes of light that rained down like falling stars and dispersed. Tang San's meticulously condensed blue-silver domain collapsed and disappeared. Qian Renxue still had not unleashed her spirit. She stood composed, the seraphim mark on her brow brighter now as it reflected the sea god's mark on Tang San. My dispel can banish any non-god level domain, she said. Your divine weapon is excellent, but regretfully, it is not in a god's hands. Tang San had expected her dispel. He had not expected it to be so absolute. He roared, snatching the trident with his left hand. The power in the weapon spiked, multiplying nearly tenfold in an instant. Even Qian Renxue, a god of angels, felt the surge and was forced to release her hold. The sudden force flung her body backwards. The golden glow she'd used to grip the trident burst outward and blasted her hand, leaving her chest exposed. Tang San did not hesitate. His body moved with the trident as one. A strange blue-green light flowed from his right arm into the sea god trident. Its pure gold hue turned into a roiling mix of gold, blue, and green. Like a clap of thunder, an enormous three-colored electrical discharge ripped from the trident's blade and slammed into Qian Renshui's chest. She was wrapped in a storm of gold, blue, and green light, and hurled helplessly through the air, stunned. Opportunities against a god were vanishingly brief. Tang San seized this one. Half rotating in midair, he infused the sea god's light into the trident until it glowed like a phantom. The golden energy condensed into a single, relentless surge. He loosed the weapon, the 13th golden trident, third form, no return. As the trident flew, 8 golden lights sprang from the 8 spider lances on Tang San's back, darting after Qian Renxue like electric hounds. Qian Renshui's seraphim mark flared as 6 enormous wings of golden light burst from her back. With a sweep, those wings dispelled the electric light clinging to her. In her palm, a long sword of golden flame materialized, and at the exact instant the sea god trident reached her, the sword wedged perfectly between the main and side blades of the trident. There was a thunderous collision. The sea god trident, now driven to 1.08 million jin, erupted with no return and dragged Qian Renshui's body along. In an instant, she was carried more than 1,000 meters away. Tang San didn't stand to watch. He spun, dropped low, and plunged into the Stardow Great Forest to distance himself. I didn't expect you could injure me, Qian Renxue said coolly as she surveyed the shallow wound on her left shoulder. Her blood shimmered crimson and gold, but had already stopped. In an instant, she vanished into the forest, pursuing Tang San. She released and extended her divine sense as she moved, teleporting in blink-like leaps. Wherever her divine sense reached, her body followed. Her speed was so acute that she was effectively teleporting, faster even than her own divine sense's reach. Tang San hid well among the trees, and Qian Renxue circled, calling out playfully to draw him out. In a flash of golden light, she reappeared, and with a teasing tilt to her mouth, murmured, "What, can't you resist coming out to play? Let's see where you plan to run." She moved amid flickering lights and shadows, and in that instant snatched the sea god trident that had become lodged in the ground 1,000 meters back. She was not truly flying. She was simply reappearing wherever her sense pinpointed him. Tang-san had apparently expected her return. He stood exactly where she found him, as if ready to receive her. He wore a faint, composed smile. Qian Renshui materialized 10 meters away and stopped, studying him. Her brows drew together minutely. "Tell me," she asked, "what gives you such confidence? You don't look like a stray dog." "Do you think I'm a stray dog?" Tang-san shot back. She smiled, no malice in it, more like mild amusement. "Of course not. You're the most remarkable man I've met, aside from my uncle and grandfather." Tang-san inclined his head slightly. "Miss Qian Renshui flatters me. I came out today to make a wager with you." Qian Renshui lifted the sea god trident in her hand and regarded it as if weighing it. "This divine weapon of yours is quite heavy," she said lightly. Her teasing gaze hinted at the real meaning of her words. "You've already lost the only divine weapon you could truly rely on. Now it's in my hands. What right do you have to bargain with me?" 118. The Suppressed God. Tang-san kept his expression calm. "Qian Renshui, you've already ascended to godhood, so naturally I'm no match for you. Do you dare to gamble with me?" "If you win, I'll swear allegiance to you," he continued. "If you lose, I only ask for 3 days to leave. After 3 days, you may resume your pursuit, and if you capture me by force, then I will still submit." Qian Renshui lifted her chin, watching him coolly. "You want to gamble with me?" Tang-san mocked softly. "Qian Renshui, do you dare? Or are you afraid of a mortal?" "Afraid of you," Qian Renshui sneered. "What sort of wager do you want?" "My wager is simple," Tang-san said. "For the length of one incense stick burning, neither of us will use divine artifacts. If you can capture me within that time, you win. If you cannot, I get 3 days to leave here in peace and return my sea god trident." "One incense stick?" Qian Renshui's eyes narrowed. "Really that confident? Even without divine artifacts, I'm still a god." Tang-san's tone hardened. "Decide whether you'll gamble or not." Qian Renshui toyed with the sea god trident planted beside her. "I will gamble, but I won't return the trident to you. What if you win, and then, after 3 days, I catch you again, and you refuse to acknowledge the bet? I don't want your corpse on me. It's safer if this trident stays with me." Tang-san stared at his trident and said resolutely, "All right, one day, I will personally take my sea god trident back from you." Blue gold light flared from Tang-san. He withdrew an incense stick from his embrace and held it up. Qian Renshui, more cautious this time, drove the trident into the ground beside her and unleashed her 6-winged angel martial soul. Brilliant golden wings spread behind her, pouring down an overwhelming pressure that made Tang-san feel as if he could hardly breathe. A pervasive, divine suppression settled over the air. 9 spirit rings rose from Tang-san, the marks of his blue-silver emperor. Black, 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 red, black, red, red, red. 5 rings over 50,000 years and 4 over 100,000. Among the current titled Douluo, few could match the raw configuration of his rings, but in sheer radiance they paled beside Qian Renshui's. Her own 9 rings were neatly arranged, black, 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 red, red. But each was wrapped in a veil of golden mist, like gold foil over the ring. The colors beneath were visible, but the brightness was far greater, more brilliant than before. "The incense is lit. Let's see how you expect to last under my assault for the length of 1 incense stick," Qian Renshui said. Tang-san laughed. "I never planned to endure your attack. I intend to make my attack last for an incense stick. Be careful." Blue gold flame surged. All 9 of Tang-san's spirit rings flared at once, their original black and red vanishing in a flash of blue gold. His whole body took on the same hue. Qian Renshui watched with interest. "What is this? Another one of your self-created spirit abilities?" Without casting any overt spirit ability, Tang-san charged like an arrow. He was going at her with the purest form of force. Qian Renshui did not retreat. With a single beat of her 6 wings, she closed the distance. Her divine sense already tracked his most vulnerable point. She moved precisely as Tang-san's speed and power were still building. Tang-san reacted with terrifying speed. His right fist shot out, encased in blue-gold flames, striking for Qian Renju's chest. Her golden palm met his jade-colored fist, life energy against life energy. A thunderous boom sent blue-gold flames into the sky and hurled Tang San backward, but Qian Renshui's body also paused in midair for a fraction. The tremendous life energy had caused even her divine perception a momentary lapse. She stared, baffled. How had he done that? Break for me, Tang San roared. The blue-gold vortex in his hand and his second spirit ring burst simultaneously. The explosive force flipped the light from blue-gold to gold. A massive energy fluctuation shot up, forming a towering pillar of golden light that shattered through the golden barrier Qian Renshui had wrapped him in. Qian Renshui's expression turned grave. From their collisions, she realized Tang San was invoking his abilities in a special way, not through ordinary spirit skills, but elevating his own power toward divine levels. Tang San moved again, his form multiplying into countless after-images, converging on her from all directions. Qian Renshui snorted, "A mere grain of rice dares to shine?" Her 6 wings beat in unison, flames of gold enveloping her. She became a golden meteor and struck at what her divine sense identified as his true body. Tang San made no attempt to dodge either. Both of his hands clenched into fists and the blue-gold flames condensed over them. The 8 spider lances on his back burst forth under the full-force explosion, bearing the weight of his energy. He let himself be a moth to flame, no time to buffer. When his backward momentum stopped, he charged forward again. 3 of his 9 rings shattered in the process, yet his momentum only swelled. The sea god trident brand on his forehead flared. He spat blood. The self-devouring of the 8 spider lances had pushed him to his limit, pain ripping through his back. His face went pale, but his eyes burned with madness. 3 more rings, the 6th, 7th, and 8th, shattered at once, turning into streaks of blue gold that wrapped his whole body. He looked almost transparent. A surging sea god light burst from the trident brand, and a huge illusory image of the sea god trident appeared behind him. Qian Renshui unleashed her angelic holy sword at once. The 2 virtual divine weapons smashed together midair. The sky changed color, as if the sun itself had fallen. Brilliant gold filled the heavens above the star-dew great forest. With a colossal bang, Tang San was thrown through the sky and slammed into the earth, carving a gully 5 meters wide, 5 meters deep, and 500 meters long. He lay in the gully, body aching as if torn apart, every bone seeming broken. If he hadn't gritted his teeth, he would have passed out. Qian Renshui, by contrast, stood by a great tree, undisturbed. Her angelic divine power protected the incense stick lodged in the trunk from being extinguished or shattered by the fallout. "Our wager isn't over yet. I haven't lost," she warned. At the far end of the gully, Tang San's hands suddenly emerged, 2 golden spider lances driving into the ground to pull him free. He staggered to his feet on solid ground, clothes torn, his face as pale as paper, supported by the lances. He sucked in a breath, reached into his wishful 100 treasures purse, and popped a few sausages into his mouth, crystal caterpillar sausages. Immediately, a distorted, transparent glow shivered over him. His wounded body healed visibly fast. Within a few breaths, his injuries all but vanished. His dim eyes brightened, and his skeleton ceased crackling. He was back up. Qian Renshui did not attack immediately. She observed coldly. "Even if your stamina recovers, what then? If I'm not mistaken, your blue-silver emperor martial soul can no longer be used, right?" Tang San nodded. "You're sharp. The first 8 spirit rings of my blue-silver emperor are indeed unusable. But don't forget, I have another martial soul. This wager's outcome isn't decided yet. I haven't lost." Qian Renshui smiled. "All right, let's see how powerful the Clear Sky Hammer truly is. The Clear Sky Hammer of the world's #1 sect. The same hammer that once grievously wounded my father." Black light welled from Tang San's left hand. The glow around him shifted from blue gold to a deep black, threaded with faint gold and a dark red edge. From thin air, a gigantic clear sky hammer formed in his grip. His rings arranged into black, 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 red, 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 4 black and 4 red, complementing the hammer's own black and red radiance. A dark crimson gold spread over him as the clear sky hammer swelled, its head growing tenfold, the handle from 3 meters to 10. He forced his strength to divine levels with a technique called Ring Blast. "Qian Renshui, receive my hammer, the Sumeru Sky Hammer." Tang San roared, gripping the massive handle with both hands. Man and hammer became one in a peak state attack. Qian Renshui's response was immediate. Her hands moved into a precise formation. The 100-meter angelic holy sword rose blazing with golden flame. After a brief darkness, a blinding flash poured over the land. Thousands of shattered golden specks rained down like tiny suns, each blasting a crater wherever they struck the star-dew great forest. The air filled with chaotic divine energy and deadly intent. The angelic holy sword shattered. The weapon Qian Renshui, the angel god, had condensed simply broke apart midair, turning into those countless golden starlights. Even with her quick reaction and retreat, she was affected. Her body staggered in the air, forced downward. A pale trace crossed her features. How could this be? Tang San's great Sumeru hammer, empowered by Ring Blast, had struck the energy Qian Renshui had condensed. She had to respond with her spirit ability. A massive crimson golden light erupted like a tearing vortex, but Ring Blast shredded the radiance headed for Tang San. His speed did not abate. In a blink, he arrived before Qian Renshui. The hammer still rose. What Qian Renshui saw were Tang San's blood-red eyes, relentless and domineering. This was his first true use of the great Sumeru hammer. The pain in his body could not overcome the exhilaration of continuously stacking critical strikes. Qian Renshui's feet slammed into the ground, and at that moment, Tang San's seventh strike was already over her head. The clear sky hammer crashed into the golden egg-like shell surrounding her. With an ear-splitting roar, Qian Renshui and the shell were slammed into the earth. The black color on the hammer vanished, disappearing as Tang San unleashed the final blow. His form blurred in the air, and behind him a disc-shaped phantom flashed into being, a blood-red disc seething with slaughter. Its aura pushed back the surrounding angelic domain, focusing the hammer's full weight on Qian Renshui alone. 81 hammers combined into one, power stacked and condensed. Boom! Like the clash of ancient worlds, like a creator's roar, Tang San's clear sky hammer, a crimson gold enraged dragon, slammed into Qianre. End of chapter. 119. God was wounded by a hidden weapon. 81 hammer strikes landed on Qian Renshui, and Tang San's eyes snapped open just before their attacks collided. From his pupils leapt two streams of crimson gold light like lightning. Even a powerhouse like Qian Renshui, at such close range and in the midst of the clash, had no time to dodge. The twin crimson gold beams struck straight into her eyes. Her divine force shook violently. She felt as if two needles had been driven into her brain, and her once steady divine sense fragmented into chaos. Mid-air, the entirely golden sky cracked. A figure shot through the breach and slammed into the ground with a tremendous shockwave, making a massive crater. The golden light in the sky converged to a single point. The figure that had burst from the rift was Tang San. He felt as if every bone were about to shatter. The clear sky hammer, having lost its spirit rings, dissolved into specks of black light that merged into his body, useless now. Yet Tang San was elated. He had broken through a divine domain. One must remember, that had been a divine domain. Qian Renshui hovered, descending slowly, her face dark with fury. It wasn't that Tang San's purple godlight had grievously harmed her. Though his mental strength was strong, the realm gap was too great. The purple godlight could not damage her divine force. Her anger sprang from the humiliation of feeling useless. She was a god, yet against Tang San she had been made to feel powerless. "You were planning to use your mental force shock on me all along, weren't you?" she said coldly as she landed 30 meters away. Tang San nodded, looking at her with a faint disdain. "Yes, I was going to use the purple god light. You made two mistakes. One, you didn't strike me with your true body the moment you released your domain. That was when you were most vulnerable. Two, your reaction was far too slow for a god. You only realized I was using the disorder-splitting wind hammer method at the last instant. So I broke through your domain. I couldn't hurt you, but breaking your domain was enough." Furious laughter burst from Qian Renshui. "Fine, Tang San, you truly are clever. Then I must kill you now. The incense hasn't burned out yet. The wager isn't over. If I kill you now, the wager still stands." She raised her right hand slowly. Dazzling golden flames condensed into an angelic sword. A single wave would send Tang San from this world. "Wait," Tang San said suddenly. "Any last words?" "The incense is almost out. You have 30 seconds. Your intelligence and strength impress me. I'll give you a final chance. Qian Renshui advanced with the angel sword. Her steps were slow and deliberate, but in 30 seconds, she would reach Tang San and swing. 30 seconds? Very well. I'm not defenseless. I still have one spirit ring. I'll make another wager. With my last spirit ring, I can break your previous angel defense. You think I'll be tricked twice? Don't stall for time. Tang San's voice was dry. All right, you have 20 seconds. If you break my defense, maybe you'll survive like before. Qian Renshui's rage boiled. She had held back to let Tang San feel some dignity in these final moments. Now, with the upper hand, she planned to kill him properly. Tang San only nodded solemnly. Then be careful. Blue-gold light surged as he called forth the blue-silver emperor spirit once more. Just as Qian Renshui suspected, he still had one last strike. This was the 9th spirit ring of the blue-silver emperor. Her distance closed, 15 meters, 15 seconds. 1 second, 1 step, 1 meter, each was a breath closer to death. Qian Renshui advanced with lethal confidence. Tang San raised his right hand and detonated the last spirit ring. Power flooded him. With a soft sound, he coughed up blood. The strain worsened his injuries, but he simply wiped his palm through the blood. A strange thing happened. The faint golden tint in the blood receded, leaving a tiny, transparent droplet in his hand. His right hand had gone jade white. In that moment, Qian Renshui felt as though Tang San's entire being had condensed into that one hand and the single ordinary water droplet it clasped. You should be honored, Tang San said quietly. This is the first ability I've ever used since coming to this world. He closed his eyes, truly closed them, and for a moment his whole presence seemed to sink into a whiteness. The small milky droplet disappeared into his palm. Guanyin's tears. Qian Renshui's steps froze. Her face went slack with disbelief, eyes wide. She could not make that final step. A god could not be expected to show such expression, and yet that was exactly what she wore. Tang San swayed and forced himself upright with the support of his 8 spider lances. He was pale, but his eyes shone with pride and triumph. The incense burned out. At the instant the stick died, Qian Renshui's angel sword materialized divine force, shivered, and dispersed into starlight. She lowered her head and stared at her chest in stunned silence. On the impossibly hard golden shell that had just withstood Tang San's ring explosion, enhanced clear sky hammer, a small, inconspicuous hole had appeared. There was no crack around it. An identical, tiny hole had been created in her gown at the position of her heart. A corresponding hole had opened in her back as well. The two were completely connected. Even behind the golden shell, a matching hole existed. A wisp of crimson gold blood leaked from the corner of her mouth. Her heart had been pierced by that minuscule milky white water droplet. Qian Renshui lifted her head and stared at Tang San, utterly bewildered. Guanyin's tears? What kind of spirit ability is this? I didn't sense any divine aura. Her voice remained unnervingly calm, though blood streamed steadily from her lips. Tang San's voice was soft, tinged with regret. My power was insufficient. Ideally, it would have detonated inside your heart, not merely passed through. If it had exploded there, even a god would likely lose half their life. Guanyin's tears. Guanyin's tears? I've never heard that name. Is it your own creation? She asked, staring at him. No, Tang San said firmly. I can't call it my own. I don't have the power to invent such a miracle. This is the Tang sect's top spirit ability, the Tang sect's highest hidden weapon. The Tang sect's top hidden weapon? Golden light flickered around Qian Renshui. The bleeding slowed. Complex emotions twisted her face. Then is your Tang sect a remnant of some god? Why else could you wield something even a god cannot resist? It must be godly. No, Tang San said, pride warming his pale features. Not the power of a god, human wisdom, the condensed intellect of generations of Tang sect ancestors. His proud glow left Qian Renshui speechless for a moment. Faint golden light swirled on her body as she tried several times to raise her hand, then stopped. She inhaled and glanced at the extinguished incense stick. Decision seemed to settle over her. You may go, she said finally. Leave now, before I change my mind. 3 days, that's the time from our wager. I no longer demand your submission, but after 3 days, I will hunt you down with all the power of the God of Angels, divine artifact included. 3 days only. Prepare to be pursued by a god. Tang San smiled without warmth. You said one thing wrong. A god's power is not infinite. Divine force can be exhausted. When we meet again, I expect to see your true divine force. Goodbye." Joy rose in Tang San's chest. He had used Guan Yin's tears to grievously wound Qian Renshui. If next time he faced Qian Xunan, if he himself became a god and added the Tang sect's hidden weapons, he could kill him. "Qian Xunan, just you wait. I'll make you pay," he muttered through his teeth. Guan Yin's tears had passed through the heart. Wherever it had gone, the heart had ruptured and its meridians shattered. Even a god-level powerhouse like Qian Renshui could not act now. Her divine force was concentrated at where her heart used to be, simulating a heart to keep her alive. Even for a god, reshaping a heart would take at least 3 days. Tang San took up his sea god trident and vanished. Watching his retreating back, Qian Renshui nearly coughed up another mouthful of blood. 3 days, she ground her teeth and closed her eyes, beginning the slow, painful work of reconstructing her heart. About a day later, a white-robed figure appeared beside her. Qian Xunan, her uncle. He wore pristine white, his robe fluttered softly. His face was upright, features refined and composed. Thick brows and deep, starry eyes radiated quiet wisdom. His golden hair fell like a waterfall, setting off his fair complexion. He moved with light, assured steps, exuding calm and a faint floral fragrance. Qian Xunan landed and saw the wound. Immediately he released spirit power and poured streams of it into her. The terrifying spiritual energy helped repair her injuries. With his aid, Qian Renshui's heart was quickly reshaped. His long, capable fingers were gentle, causing no pain. Indeed, they brought her an odd relief. His presence steadied her. When she finally opened her eyes, she looked at him with bright relief. "Uncle, you've come." Qian Xunan withdrew his hand and regarded her calmly. "Who did this to you?" "It was Tang San," she answered, disappointment and something else in her tone. "Has that Tang San already become a god?" he asked evenly. "No, he's only ranked 96. I was careless," she trailed off. Before she could finish, the clear sound of a slap cut through the air. Qian Xunan had struck her left cheek. She toppled to the ground. "Uncle," Qian Renshui cried, stunned. She had never expected him to strike her. Qian Xunan snorted. "Do you know why I hit you?" She bit her lip. "Because I failed to deal with Tang San. As a god, I lost to a human. I've disgraced Spirit Hall." He shook his head, cold. "No, I didn't hit you because you dishonored Spirit Hall. I hit you because you were arrogant." 120. Asura and the Sea God. Qian Xunan regarded Qian Renshui with cool detachment. "Do you remember what I told you before?" he asked. Qian Renshui nodded. "Uncle, you told me not to be too arrogant." "That's right." Qian Xunan's voice was flat, severe. "A few years ago, your plan failed because you underestimated Tang San, and it cost you everything. I didn't expect that. Even after becoming a divinity, you'd still be so arrogant. If Tang San had already become a divinity and you lost to him, that would make sense. But you kept losing to him through your own carelessness. Why did you keep giving him chance after chance?" He fixed her with a cold stare. Even as a divinity, in his eyes, Qian Renshui was still a child. Qian Renshui opened her mouth and felt the anger in his tone prick at her. She hesitated, then admitted, "I thought he was weak, like an ant. I wanted to toy with him. I didn't expect it to go this far." Qian Xunan said, "Even an ant clings to life. Tang San is about to become a divinity. You shouldn't insult him. Even if he is small, at least give him the respect he deserves. Don't underestimate him." Qian Renshui lowered her head. "I'm sorry. I won't do it again." Qian Xunan sighed. "I warned you not to be careless, and you didn't listen. Now you're paying the price." "I won't do it again," she repeated. He watched her with a steady, unyielding gaze. "Xiaoshui, ever since you lost to him in the Imperial Palace, you've wanted revenge. I stayed away this time to give you that chance, but it seems you no longer need it." Surprise flashed across Qian Renshui's face. She looked up instantly. "Uncle, please, give me another chance." Qian Xunan shook his head. "Tang San will become a divinity soon. The angel god said he has great fortune and the favor of the sea god. If handled poorly, he could become our greatest enemy. This time, I will kill him myself. There will be no more chances." He knew precisely what Tang San represented, someone who could beat Qian Renshui and had already drawn the attention of the angel god. That meant Tang San was no ordinary opponent, possibly even stronger than Tang Chen and Tang Hao, whom he had slain in the past. Tang San could not be allowed to live. Uncle. Qian Renshui began to plead again, but he cut her off. Go back to Spirit Hall and ready the army. Once this is done, I will begin the war to unify the continent. After speaking, he stepped forward and vanished from before her. God Realm, Sea God Hall. The sea god sat in his vast hall when the Asura god strode in. Dark red demonic patterns covered the Asura's body. Each step made the great hall tremble. A dark red light enveloped him so heavily that his features were obscured. Only armor carved with demonic sigils could be discerned. The very air in the hall seemed to congeal. The sea god's expression hardened. Asura, what brings you here? He asked. The Asura spoke in a cold, metallic clang. Poseidon, your inheritor may be about to die. The sea god curled his lip. I know, he fought the angel god and even had the upper hand. A promising young man, at only 96 ranks he could wound a divinity. He is a fitting successor. Asura's voice was blunt. He's good, which is why I chose him as my successor as well. The sea god's face shifted. You, how despicable. You know he is my inheritor and you interfere? Asura, have you no shame? Asura did not sit. Are you lecturing me about who arrived first? There must be order, the sea god snapped. You waited until Tang completed my 8 sea god trials to appear and snatch him. As an enforcer, are you not breaking rules deliberately? Asura inclined his head slowly. Then tell me, did Tang first go to the slaughter city I left in the mortal realm, or did he come to your sea god hall first? The sea god went silent, then cursed under his breath. He had assumed the Asura's appearance was opportunistic, but the reminder made him recall. Tang San's slaughter god domain had existed in the mortal realm before the sea god's heart found him. That domain carried the Asura's signature, a mark of the Asura god's chosen. The sea god's bluster faltered. Asura, explain yourself before you leave, he said, trying to recover his composure. This is unfair. I will not hesitate to take this to the God Realm Committee. Your way of choosing inheritors, spreading influence and picking one by one, is dishonest. I nurtured only this one. Asura stopped and without turning answered evenly. Forget the complaints. This Tang is exceptional. Who says a divinity can only hold one god position? The sea god stared. You mean? I want Tang to be a God Realm enforcer, Asura said. A God Realm enforcer holds enormous authority, supervising main deities and even god kings, enforcing the laws of the God Realm and, under certain conditions, acting in the mortal realm with special measures. The God Realm Committee comprises 2 god kings and 3 enforcers. In voting, the 2 god kings have 2 votes each, and the 3 enforcers 1 each. If the 3 enforcers agree, their combined 3 votes can override the 2 god kings. These 5 are the 5 supremes of the God Realm. Though the sea god is not one of the 5, he is a principal deity, second only to them, and formidable. He looked at Asura in disbelief. You want Tang to inherit both my god position and yours? He asked. Asura nodded slowly. The forces of destruction are growing stronger. Even I struggle against them. I want to cultivate a divinity with dual god positions to restrain destruction. Then I can withdraw to the background. The sea god's eyes widened. He nodded, conceding the point. This Tang is indeed a rare candidate. Asura's gaze turned cool. It is a pity your disciple may be about to die. The sea god stood in alarm. What do you mean? Asura's voice remained calm. Qian Xunan in the lower realm is preparing to personally kill Tang. The angel god failed because she was careless, but Qian Xunan is the one who killed the Rakshasa god. Do you think he'll be careless twice? The sea god's eyes went wide. You mean Tang is certain to die this time? Asura nodded. Yes, Qian Xunan killed the Rakshasa god. Though he hasn't officially become a divinity, he has cultivated divine force. His power surpasses the newly promoted angel god. If he catches Tang will die. The sea god asked, if that's true, why don't you act? Asura gave a thin, meaningful smile. I'm a God Realm enforcer. I cannot break the law knowingly. My duty is to restrain destruction in the God Realm. If I move, destruction will also act. It would be reckless. The sea god studied him. You want me to intervene and save Tang? Who else? Asura answered simply. Who else can save him but you? But I am a main deity. I cannot interfere lightly in mortal affairs, the sea god protested. Asura continued. Since I am an enforcer, I will not let anyone know you descended. But be careful. Qian Xunan can kill the Rakshasa god. He is not to be underestimated. The sea god sneered once he had regained some pride. You have my assurance. Qian Xunan may be powerful, but he is an uncrowned divinity. I am a main deity of the god realm. I have never taken him seriously. Asura inclined his head. By the way, how many steps does Tang need to inherit your divinity? Don't worry, the sea god replied. He's only one step away. He must hunt the million-year-old deep-sea demon whale king to inherit the sea god divinity. I have left all the inheritance here in the sea god hall. Asura nodded. Good. After he inherits the sea god divinity, I will pass the Asura god divinity to him. In time, he will be the strongest divinity in our god realm. The sea god agreed. Very well. I will descend and kill that Qian Xunan myself. With that, he vanished from before the Asura. A faint smile curved the Asura god's lips. Quietly, to himself, he said, Since you have placed the inheritance, sea god, you are useful no longer. Help me go to the lower realm and test Qian Xunan's true strength. End of chapter.